What is up, misfits, one and all, to tonight's Skeptic and Ranting, the Big Bang versus Science and the Bible? Wow. From the Apologetics Press. So won't you join James W. and myself, Amy Newman, for a good time, billions of years.
Unapologetic good time.
Exactly. Thank you out there to God equals the square root of -1. It set it on this audio, which is pointed upwards, and now I put it back to Yeti.
Well, you see, we also have to have our George Soros mic in at all times so that he can tell us what to say live throughout the show, and if we're saying something he doesn't like, he can jump in there and tell us, hey, don't say that.
He also docks our paycheck if we say things that he doesn't like.
If we really piss him off, yeah, we'll reduce our pay.
What is up, Randolph? I'm gonna
Bible burner out there, Woody Woodpecker. Hey, Woody.
To send people over to Randolph's stream, which I think is amazing, along with T-Jump, who I think I will be hosting, moderating a debate on Modern Day Debate on Friday with him. And we will, this will be the time. I think, religion will do it. Looking forward to the Big Bang. What is up, friendly ex-Muslim? I'm giving you a bonus for every time you insult LPP. And
Colonel. I hope you've got a Soros-sized bank account in that case.
Listen, genetics. Have you heard of genetics? It's a code. No. We love all of our creationist brothers and sisters. I even hear Kent is a scientist. He has committed many gravity experiments that eventually get reviewed by a bunch of his peers. But yes, I do want to thank you for joining us out there on the inner tubes. Pew, 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 pew. And I don't really know how they fit the internet through that. Have to shove that back in. Anyway, please don't forget to like, follow, or subscribe. Woohoo! Because then you gain access to that bell icon, which when set to all, will send you reminders to see our premieres or join our live streams. What is up, internet?
What's up?
Well, yeah, we are a skeptic channel. 15 feet. Including the two hosts. Exactly. That you see before you. However, after the housekeeping opening statements and the video, we will be opening up the open mic so you can tell us what you think. That is right. Is that daylight? Oh my God. You see, what's happened is that the zombies don't come down until the light goes out, so we are out streaming now for food, and then eventually, exactly, sending love, Pat.
Thanks, Pat.
But yes, we will also give everyone their chance, opening, closing. Sometimes an opening, closing. Atheist, liberal, conservative. Come as you are. Just not on my sheets. You can try. I should put a Target out there somewhere. Not sponsored by Target. Fantastic clothing. And always has a Starbucks. But this house
would always wind up right over there, inevitably.
Look, shopping plus caffeine. Anyway, this housekeeping is sponsored by our Patreons at patreon.com/Amy Newman, which helps us make even more fun content, including awesome Patreons like us from the India's Roundtable, woo! And India's Network Group, Tang Gang Yo. Boom, boom,
Thanks.
boom. And I've been watching their the back and forth between Eddie and Oz, and
I didn't get to watch that yet.
I mean,
Was it as firework filled as we heard?
well, I mean, never as much as with fundamentalists, but it is in that, I mean, religion is very silly. But we love
That
Eddie.
it is.
We love Eddie, and we love Oz.
Hey,
My
Marshall.
brother from another mother. What is up,
Okay, Oz.
Marshall? Sending love. And sending love to Ian Davenport. Woo!
That's right, Pat. Give him the bird.
Give him the old bird. Oh, I'm gonna
Give
have
him the
a
bird. Big
gonna
screen
have
bird.
a rain cloud soon, because you want to know Christian science, and it's really not complete without the flood event. Because without the flood event, how could we truly know, how animals became not vegetarians, how they survived not eating each other, even though the lion and the giraffe were on the same boat.
Yeah, they were all just chowing down on hay like nothing. They didn't think anything of it.
No,
The thought of
fine.
eating each other never came into their mind.
Exactly. All of them ate hay. Even the ants somehow ate hay.
Even
Everybody
the snakes,
was like,
they
hey.
would coil up and strike a big ball of hay and then constrict it and then eat it.
I just love it. They're like, do we want meat? No. We want hay.
Big ball of grass.
Big ball of grass. Because it didn't rain yet. Once again. Hadn't rained. And not just any rain. That would actually be silly and mythical. It rains a lot, okay? So
like a fuck ton of rain. Like you can't even imagine this much rain. A lot of rain.
You can't even imagine that much rain. And so you're like, you know what? I'm just gonna start eating everyone.
It started raining and raining. It didn't stop raining. And Amy's right now probably thinking it's raining men.
Oh my. No, that's a different miracle. That may make me believe in a goddess, but it hasn't happened yet. Once again,
much to your chagrin.
Much to my chagrin, exactly. The poof model doesn't.
All right, Randolph spotted you, Mo.
Oh, what's up, our producer?
Randolph spotted him.
Cat alert. Yeah. But yes, I don't know how the poof model's going in science so far, but it doesn't seem to have any traction. In fact, it makes a grumpy old cuss. It makes all of us kind of go, what the?
Yeah.
Because really, I ask, make me a zebra. Like, go from nothing or whatever you want. What did God start? Well, go from whatever God started.
Make me a fucking turkey.
Or a turkey.
Make a turkey.
I pre-supper say you have to use Christianity to have any logic. Make us a turkey. That was magic.
Oops. That's like Rick Perry years ago when they asked him like which agencies of the government he would eliminate, and he's like, Department of Energy, Commerce, Oops, I forgot the others.
Yeah. And that's politicians. It's also, well, I don't want to bring up Herman Cain, but,
His
just
award,
on vaccines, if you don't believe that evolution is real, which apparently we have to talk about, because you would think that it says, wait a second, I'm looking at the title, it says the Big Bang. So I feel like this is going to be a video about the Big Bang.
Physics,
And
cosmology, astronomy, things like that.
you'd be kind of right. I mean, the Big Bang will be talked about, but evolution, ladies and gentlemen, lots and lots and lots and lots and lots of evolution. I don't know why it triggers them, because it actually explains things, how from simple chemicals that are just ripe to have vital reactions like carbon, water, and the atmosphere not being burning or freezing. And yet, when I asked for an explanation,
crickets.
God is mysterious. Oh, that was the last.
It's funny because we can't observe the Big Bang. We just have to look at different things and connect all the dots and extrapolate backwards to get to it. But evolution, we can observe that. We see that happening.
I mean, that's almost kind of the point. Scientists do have to put the asterisks on there that yes, we are looking into the past, but the point is,
dots,
if the universe is
inferences.
billions of years old, that's what you have to do, and it stands on two pillars. It stands on cosmic microwave background radiation, and it stands on the fact of Hubble's laws that everything is moving outward, which means at one point, and for whatever reason, whenever I bring up that we have seen singularities actually naturally occur, that's what black holes are, I generally get a denial that black holes exist, which is like a weird pivot. It's like, you know what? All right.
Well, Friendly Muslim says we triggered him already, and so did? it's like mentally, Amy, you drew a picture of Muhammad in your thoughts. With what you're saying, you did a picture of Muhammad.
Am I calling him daddy? What?
No, you're not 10 years old. Come on, that wouldn't make sense, Amy.
Listen, what we're really trying to think about is how much religion, especially the Desert Trilogy, the Jews, Christians, Muslims, they don't really seem to treat women so greatly. Diana Smith would like to point that out. All of us would like to point that out. The skeptic community.
I guess that's true, Sinister. That's a way of putting it. I would say that's right, Leo. A singularity isn't so much a physical object as it is a kind of an asterisk. It's like a placeholder for something we don't totally understand. It's where everything breaks down.
But I would say it's almost it's us trying to understand it in our current thinking, because a lot of the Christians ask us what came before that, and it could be we don't know the answer. It could be there is no answer, and that's not a valid question because it. But we want to know. Listen, we like to think that we deliver as many triggerings as we can. That is what we do here.
I'm not triggering.
No, I would say that we want religious people to give us their views. We
just engage in some mild teasing. That's all that we do.
And I think that
we're not mean-spirited about it.
Exactly. I think Friendly Muslim likes us too much. He just is waiting for us to talk about nipples again, and that time is now.
Seriously, every time he's come on the show, he's always been polite and funny, and he's always been a good addition to the panel.
Yes, we love all our atheists and theist brothers and sisters. Woohoo! But sending love out there too. Diana Smith, along with Pat Lellinger, someone out there sending so much love. He's done so many awesome episodes of Talk Skeptic to me, and you should also check him out at youtube.com/BiddyBuddha_. Learn some shit. The fabulous, wonderful, and amazing.
Thanks, Pat.
And so is Pat. Woo! And I've also seen him fight, Godwin laws with whips, trying to replace skulls with crystals. That's what archaeologists do, I believe. I saw a documentary on it once.
Most likely. Dumping Nazis with the wood chippers.
Exactly. But also sending love to Dale Pastel, reminding us that, funny enough, we don't get a lot of empirical evidence.
Hey, Brainbug. Good to see Brainbug out there. That's Hive Science. That's our good friend Brainbug.
Ah, oxygen. I have breathed before.
Wasn't it funny, Amy, that we breathe oxygen and plants give off oxygen? You almost would think it was God who designed it that way, right? Like God said you need oxygen and God made trees to make it for you.
But there's a non-zero chance that you can die while you're drinking. Because of the same root, most chance that you're breathing.
Or you can choke to death on a pretzel. Oh, we have a very special guest out there, Amy. We have Scott Duke out there tonight, who 99% of the time
Duke?
He doesn't get to watch our streams because we go so late.
That's right. We are. What the hell is that? Yeah, it's the weirdest thing. There has been something chasing me the entire day.
A big ball of hydrogen gas in the sky.
Exactly. Finally, I escaped. I'm home, and I think that it's going away now.
Yeah, another hour or so it'll be gone.
Okay.
Don't worry.
Exactly. But yes, we're sending love to Scott Duke and hoping that
Cynthia McDonald out there. How you doing, Cynthia? Good to see you.
What is up, Cynthia?
From Tang.
Tang gang yo. Hashtag.
I think she'll be at the Better event. I believe I did see her on the list too.
Woo-hoo. I think it's a great panel. They have an awesome list of hosts that
and he keeps announcing new ones even. He keeps announcing new people. I think he said he's got a Holy Kool-Aid now coming to the event.
Woo!
Participate one
Holy
of the panels.
Kool-Aid was amazing.
Yeah.
At DebateCon and everywhere. And will be awesome but better. Also sending love because I think of Scott Duke and also Answers in Atheism.
Yep, she confirmed she'll be there. So
love Speed and love Cynthia and love all of the atheists out there because we don't have to have religious holy wars. Isn't it nice? Isn't it nice that we don't schism?
Oh, you mean like where the Catholics were burning the Protestants at the stake, and then when the Protestants took over, they were burning the Catholics at the stake, and then when the Protestants back over, they were again burning the Catholics at the stake? Yeah.
Listen, could the excuse everyone was doing it work? Come on.
I've got that George Soros call, so I'll be right back with an important word from George.
Shut it down. All right. And also sending love to Dave. Speaking of funny enough. Dave Gar wants us suddenly. Is that right? Hold on. Are we getting that? Oh, yes. Dave Gar is reminding us that the Earth is indeed round. Wow. And it's funny. We know we went to the moon because we actually have footprints on there because we can shoot lasers back, and the astronauts have specific radiation that came with leaving the planet. But I'm still waiting for evidence of that ice dome. No, really. That would be kick-ass. And it's a shame that actually seems way testable. So, waiting for it. Apparently, none of the flat earthers, the flurfers, turfs don't hate. They hate being called turfs. Flurfs hate being called flurfs. They call us all sort of things, and I just like being an atheist, an agnostic, a skeptic. And once again, our friends at Soros Inc. LLC would like to remind you, and Dave Gar, that the earth is round. Oh my. It's because the internet is the Wild West right now. We thought that gaining access to information was going to just make everyone geniuses. And it's true. You could, day in, day out, sit in front of what is encyclopedias worth of information and just, study. And yet, that's not really what most people are doing right now. And it's very easy for bad content to look like good content. And, a lot of library systems are updating their catalog for the internet, which is what we should be using. Sponsored by Pat and the other academics in chat. But sending so much love to Dave Gar and sending so much love to Scott Duke. Woo! Excuse me. Sponsored by Sugar Water. And sending love because animals were not poofed into existence for us. Oh.
Well, yeah. So George, he's really concerned about this bubblegum gun guy in chat. We have to shut him down. George Soros is really, really worried about that.
Listen, they're trying to hold the public down. What we need to do is let them think that all these countries have all these diplomatic, disputes or whatever they call killing people. But what you really need to understand is there's been global peace with the elites. And they don't want you to know it. And,
That's what they want you to think. That's when you realize you're being deceived.
Exactly. The moment you start using your brain, that's when you know it's going downhill.
Yeah, like Joyce Meyer said, right, in that meme that you posted, that's the problem with kids these days. They're trying to figure things out. They're trying to understand things when what they really need to do is just accept that they don't understand things.
Oh, just accept Lord Jesus as your savior.
Well, like Ralph, hey, it doesn't make sense. It doesn't have to make sense. Making sense is so overrated. You don't use logic and reason.
He basically says, I'm trying to remember his slogan, logic is the enemy of reason is treason, something like that, where I could not find any better slogans for why you should be an atheist. If I'm going to be criticized for using reason and logic.
Yeah.
Oh, no.
Even worse, asking for evidence.
Oh, excuse
How dare you, Amy? How dare you want evidence? Yes.
Ooh. That seems a little bit silly and impractical. We should probably just assume that, whatever is angry in the sky is making it not rain. That makes way more sense. And once again,
it's more logical, plausible, and probable.
That's clearly mythology. Just take it a step back. maker of the universe? No. There's probably a natural explanation to how the universe came to be. But also sending love, Scott Duke and Regis, reminding us we're in a Skeptic Bible study on Doc coming up. Because we are in Deuteronomy, and, well, the Bible likes to remind you that you better not have an interfaith couple because, well, they can convert or they get the complaint department.
That's right. And that's right, Bible Burner. We should sell shirts like, I gave Jesus my heart, and all I got was this crappy book.
Wow. No, the wisdom.
Yeah.
Oh.
A deity telling a person
I gotta
to
kill
cook
who?
A deity telling their follower to cook their food over burning human feces. Totally makes sense, Amy. Totally the word of God. Yeah.
No. Wisdom. Absolute wisdom.
Yeah. Human feces.
We're
Martha Stewart uses it to cook, right? Hey, it's the Bible, and it's holy. It's holy and
in
good.
Martha's defense, she had to do what she had to do for a certain period of time. But
in jail. Yeah. Okay.
She learned a lot from Ket, or maybe she was teaching Ket. Who knows? That's probably more
They were
accurate.
probably locked up at the same time. I doubt at the same facility level. Oh, too bad. Ken could have learned how to cook.
How to cook. Martha could have learned how to pretend not to learn science. But sending love to Regis.
To learn how to do her taxes the Hovind way.
There's a lot of my favorite, I think, impersonations out there. Sending love to Atheist Jr., sending love to Dr.
Josh.
Dr. Josh does a fantastic Ken Hovind. There are just so
Aaron Rod actually does a really good one, even though he doesn't do it very often, but he does.
I can only imagine. I would love to see him live. Same with Matt Dillahunty. Both of those two gentlemen drive theists crazy.
They do trigger the theists. Yeah.
But also sending love to Matt Dillahunty. Woo! Matt Dillahunty. Oh my God! See, this is what I have on my mind. Came our Patreon. No, sending love to the lovely, fabulous, and downright sexy Rachel Holland.
Thanks, Rachel.
Reminding us, well, James, there wouldn't be slavery in the good book, right? Because it's an objectively good
moral
text, moral, exactly, the holy inspired word of God. How could it ever support slavery?
It would have to be the good slavery. There you go. That would be the
slavery.
Difference. It would have to be the good slavery.
Oh my God.
You've got different degrees of slavery. You've got slavery that's totally evil. You've got slavery that's it's not that bad.
What if, hear me out, what if we bought, like, maybe little things that you put on their face that'll make them look like smiles, and then you just buy big old googly eyes. And then I feel like the slaves, the production might go down slightly. They'll be way happier.
But Amy, listen, if your slave looks at you the wrong way and you beat them to death and they die right there, you're in trouble. You messed up.
Well,
now
specifically if they die, yes.
If he dies a day or so later, well, I mean, no harm, no foul, right? I mean, he's your property, right?
Exactly.
Most people wouldn't want to wouldn't want to lose their own property unless he did something really bad. So
I feel like I looked it up in Latin, and it was the "Thou shalt walk it off" policy. If that happens, then he's good. But anything other than that,
he dies a couple days later, or whatever.
Yeah, the croaking and doking. Now you gotta be punished. Finally,
Woody Woodpecker wants to be your slave. He'll have to get in line behind Praise I Am, though.
I know. I have a lot of good slaves. Him was the saying. I would also like to debate with Praise and Standing and a lot of creationists and Dawa-ists. I'm sending love out there along with Gavin. Gavin, how you doing down there? But
it's hard for him to talk with a mouthful.
With a mouthful, but we're always accepting applications. So sending love, and also sending love to Rachel Helen, the lovely
Thanks, Rachel.
And also Senator Cato, reminding us that, well, the Church of State is really a theme in this channel because, well, not only is it important to atheists, but it should be important to you as a theist.
Should be.
Because chances are it's not going to be your religion in control. Or they're going to have some view that doesn't match up with yours. So maybe just have a neutral position and we can just all get along.
So maybe you go to the church you want to go to. You go to the church you want to go to. I don't want to go to any of them, so I won't go, and we'll all just be happy.
Wow, it's amazing that our deist founders actually figured that out, even though they pretend that they were the Puritans that a lot of our culture has unfortunately needs to shed, just like on our money, just like on our anthems and our pledge. I was unfortunately, or fortunately, I guess, because that's how I view it, one of those people that did not stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. Though I very much love this country. I think it comes with. I'm glad that even though I think a lot for economic and religious reasons they used to own other people's property, they at least made a secular government. So we don't have to go to war over that, even though we did have to go to war once again over and the Confederates had the Bible in their Constitution.
And it's worth pointing out that they were actually the ones who were more infidelity to what the Bible really says than the North, who used the Bible, but they were using some pretty difficult mental gymnastics to get the Bible to sound anti-slavery.
We're using basically very vague, everyone should be happy and joyous. They really took you could look at you could take 10% of the Bible and you can try to override the other 90%.
Right.
Nonetheless, who had the more biblically accurate view? Unfortunately, the Confederacy. And that's why we kicked their ass.
So whenever you're interpreting like law from a legal sense and you have two different laws, the one that's like more direct always controls over the one that's more vague. So if you've got one that says, yes, slavery good, and you've got one on the other side that said people should be happy, well, the one that's direct controls. So the slavery is good would be what the document means. And it's like, hey, you could be happy as a slave, right? I mean, why not?
Yeah, exactly. Well,
the Bible says to serve your master as you would serve God. And no, not just if he's nice and kind and good. No, even if he's a dick, even if he's mean to you, serve him anyway.
And they reinterpret a lot of it to basically say, the mark of Cain, which,
that was an unfortunate thing that came with that. Yeah.
And so they now try to shove that away and just are against gay people and things being shoved up there.
Which, if people don't understand this. So Adam and Eve had the first two sons, Cain and Abel, and Cain killed Abel because God mocked Cain's offering and liked Abel's offering. And then God punished Cain, and Cain was like, "Oh wow, you're going to kick me out anywhere I go. The people that will see me will want to kill me." And it's like, what people? Who? Wait, other people? Wait, it's just Adam and Eve, your parents and siblings are the only people on Earth. What other people are you talking about? That's not just other people. Other people.
Listen, the details are important. Logistics and religion aren't really our strong suit.
Other people, they're there, they're here, they're everywhere, they're under there, over
here, there, everywhere. But also, thank you, Senator Cato.
Thanks, Senator.
And also sending love to the queen of production. Sending love to Jenna.
Thanks, Jenna.
Who also, we can't say it enough. Hashtag Tangang. Hashtag why aren't you checking out all of this fantastic, fabulous, and wonderful non-believer content at the youtube.com/The Atheist Network. Sending so much love. Jenna helped us not only helped us get to our 1,000, but you should, I mean, we're sending so much love out there. I can't help reminding us as we're about to throw our 1,000 party. She, all of Tang are really who just sat there and got us over the top. So I don't know. I had to keep on sending love out there and into the universe because you can't give prayers. Prayers actually. Oh, I'm sorry.
Soros tried to cut in.
Yeah, no, I was gonna say. Georgie was trying to dock us for our pay. We can't do too much.
Jenna's out there. She's creeping while at work. Have a good day at work, Jenna.
What is up, Jenna? Sending so much love. And sending, once again, you should be watching all of the fabulous. First of all, I've seen her on many channels, but you should see all of the wonderful content she's been hosting on the Atheist Network group. And sending love.
Thanks,
and also sending love to James Wolfe, who's reminding us we do midnight rant. In fact, we generally, the fact that you even see that
this is an anomaly.
Sun. Okay, that's what that ball is. Gotcha. Exactly. But sending love to James Wolfe and reminding us that we have all sorts of open mics, just like our Midnight Ranting, Skeptic and Ranting, our Bible studies, sending so much love. You can also send us questions during the show by tagging James W. and myself at Amy Newman so we can show that up on screen. But sending love, James Wolfe, and also sending love to Matt D. Glass, was only not least reminding us that creationists cannot explain how to make a galaxy, a star, a universe, in anything.
A taco?
A taco. Sending love to Taco. I cannot keep on sending love to Randolph Richards' stream and Taco as he hosts all of them. Who's done great as moderator.
Thanks, Woody Woodpecker.
And sending love to Woody Woodpecker, who is sending hearts to us, and we are sending hearts back to him. Woo-hoo!
Thanks, Woody. Everything helps. We appreciate it. We definitely do.
Exactly. We don't even have to have Original Sin anymore. It's great. We just have to have Gizmo as producer.
He goes through so many cat treats and so much litter, you would not believe it.
And he only likes the high-end catnip.
He's kind of a snob on that end. Yeah, you can't just give him anything.
And all right, we are sending love out into the universe. Thanks, Randolph. Thank you, Woody Woodpecker, so very much. And thank you, Matt Deeg. Thank you to all of our Patreons, to all of our supporters, to all of the people in chat, Armand to make the stream so great, and of course, viewers like you who make this channel even possible.
That's right. Titan, crazy hot in here. It's getting hot in here. So take off your clothes.
I think at the peak it was 91 today, which I know you are in a generally warm climate. For us, that's pretty warm.
I don't know what the high. It's like 85 now, so it's down in the Bibble Belt.
Sending love to the Sinister Porpoise, making up for lost Soros bucks from my Coke fund.
Now, if you didn't know, we are Soros shills, but the Sinister Porpoise is a Koch brothers shill. Well, I think one of them is dead, so now it's Koch brother.
Oh, so
shill,
they
but...
say, James. They buried him. Does that really mean that he's dead?
Well, like Jeffrey Epstein, they probably put a fake body in there and spirited him off somewhere to Israel so he can,
Exactly. Or they put electrodes up somewhere. They have created a meat puppet where they are trying to create a dinosaur to take over the world.
Most likely. Makes sense.
Likely. But yes, we are thanking the Sinister Porpoise once again for making up for the lost Soro bucks from the Coke Fund, which I feel like that no matter how you spell a Coke Fund, it's going to be funny. But
it's going to be a good time.
It's going to be a good time. And all right, before we get into the opposing viewpoint of the night.
70 degrees in Idaho, Jason. Well, you enjoy that nice 70-degree weather.
And Jason, I was thinking about you on this specific podcast. I'm going to give you an open invitation. You can keep on watching and just I'll show every comment that you tag. But if you get triggered sufficiently as someone who actually knows science, just tell us and we will give you a link. I'm just saying. I'm just putting that
maybe I'll send that on to the Discord now, just in case.
Because I just love this because it is always the bait and switch because it's like the Xeno stuff. Like the amount of religion to how much he attacks science is disproportionate. He just sneaks that in at the end, like someone who is into butt sex but really couldn't convince their partner. You just gotta right at the end. Don't do that. Consent.
Don't do it.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, we are Skeptic and Ranting on the Big Bang versus Science and the Bible.
Uh-oh. You're in trouble now.
That's right. The Big Bang versus Science and the Bible. It's a weird sentence. How about the Big Bang and science versus the Bible? There we go. Much better. But I get it. Creationists want their beliefs to be science. But it's not. So the next best thing
womp, womp, womp.
Is, is to attack science. Oh boy. This normally comes in the form of hate towards the Big Bang, anti-vaccines, and most triggering of all, apparently, evolution, which they confuse for not agreeing with the Bible to seemingly be the same subject. Heathenism. Facts are for sinners. Unless they agree with Jesus, my yoga teacher. However, the Bible doesn't have that much science. That's because the Goat Herder's Guide to the Galaxy wasn't trying to explain how we get here scientifically. That's why they're talking snacks or men living inside giant fish. Oh yeah, no, definitely. Or coming back from the dead. Spooky. Zombie Jesus. Total science. So when I hear the Big Bang verse science and the Bible, oh, how I giggle or chuckle or any variation of laugh, unless they attack our education system. Because science shows that the cosmic microwave background radiation is indeed an early imprint of our universe, and that the Hubble law states that dark energy seems to be pushing everything outward. These two facts give us an empirical picture of the early universe. But I mean, we could also go with the Applegate model of the universe. Thank you. And all right.
Alrighty
with that, that's right. What do you think, James? The Big Bang versus science and the Bible? Who knew?
Well, I think we're about to find out, but thanks everybody for coming down this journey with us. So lately we've been hearing a lot about the Big Bang in our shows and our open mics. And so we figured it would be better to take kind of a deep dive into that subject, to do a few different podcasts on it, and help us understand more about the arguments from the other side so we can better respond to them. So I found this video today. So that's I'm to blame for whatever we have coming. So if you have any desire to pound your head into the table in front of you, don't do it, because we don't have any money for that yet. So thanks, guys.
Woohoo!
We can't pay for a brain transplant yet.
And with that, we are now going to hear from the opposing view, or rather, a video called The Big Bang versus Science and the Bible. Bum, bum, bum.
This is a physicist giving this discussion?
Oh, no. This is basically from the pulpit.
Oh, you mean it's a Christian pastor pontificating on things that physicists work with in the laboratory? Oh.
Exactly.
How did I not see that coming?
Basically, people who believe in talking snakes versus scientists. Oh,
your physics, no good. No line up with this, not good.
But have you ever heard about how language came about? It was like a really big Jenga tower, and God just pulled like one out. Science.
Oh,
super
because
science.
He didn't want to keep building the tower, and then, I mean, what's God gonna do? Come out of his bedroom in the morning and see drunk guys passed out on the floor of heaven? Like these ruffians made their way up here. I'm gonna stop that tower.
Also sending love, Dessel. I feel bad. I've recently have seen your emails. I know that there is a debate upcoming. So sending love, a Debate Me Bra, along with other Debate Me Bras upcoming. I also see Ryan Coltastic, Dr. Icarus, Bible Burner. So many wonderful people out there. We are sending Farron Salas.
Farron out there. Hey, Farron.
Woo-hoo. And with that, the Big Bang versus Science and the Bible.
Welcome to the Dismantling Evolution Seminar.
And it was pre-planned to stop that soon, ladies and gentlemen. If you were looking for longer, you may need to visit a doctor.
You came to the wrong video.
No, but basically, he attacks evolution in 2 seconds. He is already off topic. You may ask yourself, evolution? But wait a second. This is the Big Bang versus Science of the Bible.
But wait, it says he's a biomechanical engineer and thermal scientist. So I'm guessing with that description, we are going to get cutting edge science. We're going to get the heavy hitters. This isn't going to be Darth Dawkins type rhetoric, is it?
No, never.
Okay. Well, praise Jeebus.
If you are a naturalist, if you're an atheist, and you have to have some sort of explanation for how the universe arrived here and is
no, you don't,
which it is today. And so usually that's going to include some form of the Big Bang Theory.
What? I'm sorry, what?
Some form of biological evolution.
Connect subjects like
Darwinian evolution, the popular form today, Neo-Darwinian evolution, and it ultimately has to begin with
just add a Neo
the origin of the cosmic egg that then gave rise to the Big Bang. You're going to have exorbitant amounts of time, what we call deep time.
And we have that time. So check that box.
Darwinian evolution.
And they hate the concept of deep time. They're basically like, look, you can only have anything that happens right if it's in my time slot, 100 years. Anything past 100 years
cheating.
Is science.
They think it's cheating, like the fact that the universe is that old and we get to use information about that. They hate that. It really triggers them. They hate the idea of deep time.
Listen, have you ever heard of the second law of thermodynamics? Basically, God is real.
Listen, Titan, that's almost sorcery to predict that.
Sessions, with the exception of our very first session, if you are a Bible believer...
Oh, this isn't your first session with him, Amy?
We're going to use a session?
Modern theory.
Oh. This isn't your first session with him,
Okay,
Amy?
that's a different type of session. Okay, no, we can have that type of session, too. He can get on his knees.
Then you're going to have to find some...
Either one.
Oh, look at that email. mail@apologeticspress.org.
Probably go to Genesis chapter 1.
Send them an email. Let them know what you think.
Squeeze in the time that is required for these naturalistic theories. But ultimately, what you find out is that the underlying Hebrew terminology does not allow for the time necessary to accommodate these theories, nor does it allow for evolution to even occur. And so that is the...
And whose problem is that? Is that our problem, or is that a problem with your scripture?
The evolutionary model, specifically cosmic evolution, which is the Big Bang, along with Darwinian evolution.
So
now, once you
I always stutter when they start using Ken Hovind talking points. So when they start with the term, when he uses the term cosmic evolution, which is
true model, and that is
Ken Hovind talking point.
Following two
there are such types of evolution.
An introduction to the creation model as the Bible presents it, and then to respond to some of the typical quibbles that are given to the
quibbles
model as the Bible presents
he's calling the science that says his model is bullshit the quibbles
in this seminar. We hope that this is informative to you and will help
just
you
tiny
to
quibbles.
serve our great God.
So you don't believe in God.
Is what you have to realize.
Sure don't.
Science today operates under what we call methodological naturalism.
It works well.
Yeah.
Evolution
doesn't work,
no matter how old the universe.
Yes, it does. Happens on the day-to-day, on the long term.
Is the scientific choice. It is the rational choice. It is the conclusion from the evidence. There is a God.
Oh, Oh, that's quite a conclusion, but all right, AP.
God is responsible.
It's not the Associated Press, it's Apologetics Press.
I want to start off with the question. What was
so we have an actual astrophysicist here. This should be
you
good.
have recently read? Who was it written by, and what was the storyline? How did it draw you in and make you think about what the author was saying or how the characters were interacting?
It had a very
Maybe you
big...
are an art buff. And you love art. And think about something that you have recently seen, maybe a classical piece that is your favorite. You've seen pictures of it on the internet or on
Pornhub
program. Maybe there's a local artist right here in the vicinity that you were able to appreciate and see what they did.
Appreciate.
I want you to think about.
I want you to think about this chair behind me and realize that it costs more than you make in a year.
That kind of made the connection with
Came
you.
from poor people, probably.
I want you to hold on to that thought just for a moment.
In
2003, there was an exchange.
How long do we hold on to it?
James Watson.
Keep holding. Keep holding. You don't have permission to drop it.
With a student at Youngstown State
Gavin,
University.
you do it too.
And the student asked James.
You guys are both in trouble.
Said,
oh my.
So you don't believe in God?
Nope.
Now, this was after a lecture that Dr. Watson had presented, and there was a question and answer period, and the student, from what was being said, asked this question. So you don't believe in God? And look at Dr. Watson's response. He said, oh no, absolutely not. The biggest advantage to believing in God is you don't have to understand anything. No physics, no biology. I wanted to understand.
And that's so true because, can you pause it, Amy? You're here. Right. And that's true because when we're talking all the time with believers, when we ask them how God created or anything of that nature, when you ask for the details, they don't know. They don't have to present any of that. So they don't have to give the details, the biology, the physics, anything. They just get to say God did it. And that's why it's not really legitimate as a scientific inquiry, because that doesn't tell you anything about it. You're just invoking magic. And when you invoke magic, well, you can do anything. But that's not science. How scientific is that? Not very.
If you believe in magic.
Statement is sometimes classified the God of the gaps. And what Dr. Watson is saying is, he's saying that if you believe in God, then you have set aside all of the rationale. You've set aside all of the reasoning power, the logical understanding for what is around you.
Yep.
He said, if you believe in God and you take on religion, then you set aside any endeavors for science. And he said, I don't want to do that.
Absolutely right.
The fallacy to this is the fact that he is saying that faith in God, faith in the Bible, faith in Christianity means that you do nothing else. Now, I want you to think about that for a moment. When you picked up that favorite book and you began reading it, and you were engrossed in it and loving the characters, when you turn to the front cover to see who the author was, because maybe I want to read the next book, right? And I want to find who it is.
Ben Shapiro.
When you looked at that author's name, and you recognized who wrote it.
The Ben Shapiro cookbook.
Did that stop you from buying the next book? Well, did that stop you from enjoying the character traits, looking deeper? Think about.
Why is he talking about a work of fiction?
Rembrandt or
is he projecting?
Monet.
Well,
how amazing!
Surprise! In this video, what he will do, it always works up. It's like the Zeno paradox here, is that you can't just give people Jesus. You need to give people a lot of bullshit, and then eventually you can talk about Jesus. Or else, if you just start talking about it, it would be a guy coming back from the dead. How silly is that?
And beautiful, how they capture the light, how they blend the colors, how they take in a landscape for that one moment in time and capture it in its beauty. if I look at a Rembrandt or I look at a Monet and I recognize what they did and the fact that I couldn't do that, the fact of how much time and effort and how much just natural abilities they have, if I say that, does that stop me from appreciating?
How about if you look at the slums of Mombasa and you realize that somebody had an ability to solve all those problems and human suffering, but chooses not to because it's not part of his plan? I don't know. I'm just throwing that out there. I'm just saying. Look at the trees, though.
Exactly. You just gotta look at the trees, and then you realize that's really not as bad as, kids getting cancer.
He did this particular style of artwork. Monet, right? The father of the Impressionist movement. Why is it that he developed and worked with and mastered that art form? Why is it that he painted over a dozen images of hay bales?
Hay bales?
In a field. He painted that over a dozen times. Why?
I don't know.
Can I go further? Very likely you came today and you have some form of electronic device.
Did they have permission?
That electronic device allows you to be connected with your friends, with your family. You can call, you can text, you can send emails, you can look things up on Facebook, you can go to the
internet. But can you open multiple apps at the same time? That's the real question.
Flip it over. Does it have a name on it? Is that name your name? No. Is that name the name of a company? Well, yes. There's a host of companies, right, that make all of these devices. If you say this is a fabulous device, does exactly what I want.
And then you said it looked and saw an Apple and said, fuck.
Apple. Yeah, fuck. Maybe Samsung. I guess I can't investigate what the buttons do on it. I guess I can't actually use it and find out what the components are. I can't open it up and see the design that's in it.
You could do all that, but you will void your warranty.
You see, what we have is
that too.
We have a faith. But see, that faith is built on knowledge. And as a scientist, I can recognize, I can give an attribution to what is around me. And that in no way limits me.
You can tell he's a scientist. This is where scientists do most of their lab work.
Have you heard a lot of physics yet? This guy is an astrophysicist, but Amy, have you heard him talk physics yet?
No, I haven't. And eventually, when he does, he uses it basically to attack science. But, religion.
So he uses physics to attack physics. Okay, makes sense.
From investigating. From digging deep, from seeing how we are,
I was gonna say,
how the processes in our body or in nature or in gravity or in our solar system, how they operate, how they move, what they do. In no way does saying that God did it stop me from seeing how it functions and why.
Yeah, well, give us the details. Tell us how God did it. Why don't you?
The idea of evaluating the Big
And they're
Bang.
not even saying God did it via the Big Bang. They're doing, God did it. It wasn't the Big Bang. Okay, how did God do it? Cool story, bro. How? Yes.
Yeah.
Gazette type writer. But yes, I want to know how God fucking actually made the universe. It's cool that you can give us like a 6-day time span. Bro. Cool story, bro.
And then the talking snake.
And then the talking snake. Well, oh my.
Cool story, bro.
For a few moments, a biblical comparison. We're going to look at the origin sequences that we find in the Bible with the origin sequences that the Big Bang lays out. We're also going to look at the internal inconsistencies and the external inconsistencies with the Big Bang. First off, what does the Bible say? The Bible gives us a creation account.
But yes, I guess we are because of this. Oh,
what is?
God damn it!
How we are.
I was gonna say, who cares because of? I got too excited. Who cares because?
what I used to do when I would be in modern day debate and somebody would be quoting like a long Bible passage, I would just copy and paste the passage from Dr. Seuss, like, because it means about the same. Like, you're quoting a Bible verse. I do not like green eggs and ham. I would not like them in a box. I would not like them with the fox. It has the same meaning to me.
But in some ways, it also makes me. They use an almost Godwin's law argument that some of them go, look, if the Big Bang is true, then it matches what the Bible actually portrays. But the Big Bang isn't true. It's actually what the Bible says is a 6-day literal time, and the universe has been around for only 6,000 to 10,000 years old. So which one is it? And if you're going to say
both and neither.
Yes, exactly. And if you're going to say neither, you need to explain why Hubble's law is pushing everything backwards, or what that would look like if we followed that, and how God did it, because I want to know how God did it.
Internal inconsistencies.
Yeah,
and the
exactly,
external
Pablo. Don't talk about Bible inconsistencies, right?
First off, what does the Bible say?
Why would we go there first?
A creation account, and it lists days. All right, day 1, the heavens, the earth, light was formed. Day 2.
There you go, ladies and gentlemen. Yo, this is what I mean. Here is science right here for you. This is like we're looking at an RPG game. This is ridiculous.
We have
like
the waters. And
so he day 2, all he could do was separate the waters. That took an entire day.
That's a good point. Why wasn't this? I mean, unless you are trying to like make a 6-day episodic period for Netflix, why are you just God? Make it all on day 1. Then rest and then other days.
And then day 3, he separated the waters again from the dry land. So it's like day 2 and 3, he did jack shit. He didn't do anything those days. Like, got lazy. But day 4, he created the sun, the moon, and all the stars. All 800 quadrillion stars. He made that in one day, but it took him 2 days to separate the water from the land.
So we have day 3, day 4, the sun, moon, and stars. Day 5, birds and fish. And then day 6, man and animal life came along.
Notice how they separate the two, man and animal.
Big Bang,
exactly, looking down other animals different. Again.
Okay, so right off that tells us that these are two different, distinct, separate descriptions.
I can't help it, they're popcorn worthy.
Models for the origin of our universe. That's an important fact because in many times, and many people begin to merge the two. And what that does is essentially you have to compromise on both sides.
This guy looks like a younger Doug Batchelor. You remember him, Amy, when we reviewed him?
Yeah.
The Seventh-day Adventist pastor.
Oh my, Seventh-day Adventists are a little bit, well, religion, ladies and gentlemen.
I think he was the one we did about, he was going over, I think we had Pat on for that one. He was reviewing archaeology in ancient Egypt and trying to prove the Exodus. Yeah.
Yeah, the Exodus didn't happen. Neither did
it did not
Genesis
happen.
Or any of the other.
11 billion stars. You're right, Titan. I'm sorry. I said countless quadrillions, but no, it's 11 billion. and as Ken Hovind says, everybody could own like 4 trillion stars, which means he doesn't realize that everybody doesn't know that there's a lot of stars. Amy, did you know there's a lot of stars out there? Like a lot of stars. A lot of stars. Like, no. What you think is a lot? No, it's more than that. It's a lot of stars, Amy.
Duality. You have to compromise on both sides to blend them together. Here we see that within the first second,
you have to go in from both sides, if you know what I mean.
It's about a singularity. Very hot, very dense.
Oh my!
Within just a matter of microseconds, according to the model, you had the
which looks like science, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah, which one looks like mythology, and which one looks like science? Yeah.
Why do they do this to themselves? Like, who makes this presentation and
they
goes,
can't help
"Oh
themselves.
Yeah, I'm definitely going with this one."
the magic versus the science. Yeah, I mean, if you're trying to show like a dichotomy of fact versus fiction, reality versus make believe, I can't come up with a better illustration than this.
I mean, yeah.
Expansion into space-time.
Bum, bum,
After
bum.
200 million years, you had the first stars and galaxies begin to.
Oh, whoa, why couldn't the universe just make stars right away like God?
Start their life cycle. And then it's 9.2 billion years into the
You know
process.
why? Because it took that long for all those heavy elements to be made by the stars. Yeah. It would be really messed up if science said, like, oh, a billion years later the Earth formed, because you would need lots of time for the stars to fuse and make all those heavy elements that we enjoy here on Earth, like, iron and things like that we use to build our society, that you wouldn't have if you didn't have billions of years for stars to make all that shit. I mean, what do you expect? Of course.
It's both trivial and funny that God would both need 6 days and that you think that all of reality could be made in 6 days. Both things are ridiculous.
It's both, because, he could have poofed it all in an instant. And also, it's pretty ridiculous to think that that's how
if you're already all powerful, you're really going to take your time. I find that funny. Or you're going to take a week. Like, you're going to have a vacation. You're going to...
Day two, after existing for eternity, doing absolutely fucking nothing, not doing anything, not making anything, you just decide to create everything, and you're going to take 2 days to separate land from water. And then you'll just make the rest of the universe in 1 day. Yeah.
No, it makes sense.
And it makes perfect sense. No, go ahead. Who is that?
Oh, no, just sending love. I see Titan in there. I see
Titan Ogre.
Woohoo. What is up? That's right. I can't believe that we are saying this, but the sun, at least for a good second, was out.
Solar system begin to take their shape. Oceans don't appear until 10 billion years after the origin. And then fish and birds and animal life following much after that. So you see that there's a vast distinction between them in their time scales. Focusing specifically on the Big Bang, I've divided it into sort of these 5 stages. We have
it's like, okay, I guess at this point we probably should be talking about the Big Bang. I mean, evolution sucks and stuff, but the title is Big Bang, so I guess we'll talk about the Big Bang.
The stage of the singularity, right? Within that first second, which I just described. We have the stage of expansion. We have a stage of inflation.
Oh, that's when you go to the buffet and you eat too much. You have that expansion phase.
I'm sorry.
Energy,
yes, exactly. I'm starting to expand.
Sort of, equilibrium or traversing across itself. And then we have structure formation. And so what I want to do is look at
I'll give you some structure formation
in a kind of a close detail.
Oh
We're going to evaluate it from a scientific perspective to see.
Oh, because he's all science, right? A scientific perspective.
Science itself.
Gentlemen's all science.
Up even within the construct of its own model. Here is an image, just a very broad overview of the timeline that the Big Bang lays out. And what you see is there on the left-hand side, you have that origin point, the singularity. There's a period of expansion. There's a period where it rapidly, what the term used, inflates to a very, very large size. And then after that, you had all of the subatomic particles, right? Protons, electrons, neutrons.
Oh, yeah.
You had atoms beginning to combine and to form. And then at some point, couple 100,000 years, the universe becomes what they say transparent, and all that means is that it allows now for the photons to travel unimpeded. Before that, they say that there are so many particles, it's so dense, the photons are being absorbed and re-emitted and reabsorbed and re-emitted, and so after 300,000 years, you had this point when now the photons can travel through the space-time. And then following after that, you had the formation of various structures. So we're going to break up the science discussion, evaluating the Big Bang.
Gonna bring in some
these two
more
categories.
bullshit.
Internal inconsistencies.
Now back to science? Oh, okay.
Conflict within the model itself. What does the model say in terms of its own scientific standing, its own scientific description? And is that consistent within itself? Not really looking at outside, but just in the pathways that it describes.
Leo, if you're a physicist, Leo, if you want to join us, check your Discord if you want to come on and help us with this.
The scientific laws and principles that we know do exist. And then the second area is looking at the external inconsistencies. With just the observations that we make, that we have, that we can glean and collect, how do you get from the beginning to now? Is that consistent when we place those observations back onto the model? First off, in our internal inconsistencies, we're going to look at the idea of the fact that it's not purely physical. And that's a very important point to consider, because the Big Bang is the naturalistic, the physical description and mechanism. It's
What is up, Shane?
That it is only
sending love. Did a fantastic Shane did a fantastic stream.
Hey, Shane.
Kelly and student Dr. Ben on Skeptic Haven the other day, sending so much love out there into the internetosphere. And Jason, you are completely right.
He is right, yeah.
using that. It's not supernatural. You're not bringing God into it. In and of itself, it is supposed to describe everything that is seen and everything that proceeded from that origin point. The second type of internal consistency is the idea of using unknowns and unknown processes to turn around and describe unknown processes.
Indeed.
There's circular reasoning to that. And so we're going to talk about
circular reasoning. Do they really want to bring that up, Amy? I mean, I find that
purely physical.
A little sus.
But James, do you know how we know that God did it?
Because God did it, or a book says so.
Well, exactly.
Or he said so in a book, yeah.
God said he did it, so you know he did it.
But wait, how do you know the book is right where it says that he did it? Oh,
no. You
because
don't
he wrote it?
Yeah, he wrote it, and he said that he can't be wrong.
So how do you know it's... Oh, because he can't be wrong because he's God. Oh,
exactly.
Well, wow. Exactly. There you go. He's got to be right because he's got to be right.
I have placed on the screen there a quote by a physicist.
A quote mine?
George Ellis. Read this quote with me. People need to be aware that there is a range of models that could explain the observation.
All right. Hold on. I got this with you. Are you ready?
Newman.
Here we go.
Do it to me.
For instance,
I can construct you
a spherical, symmetrical universe with Earth at its center. And you cannot disprove it based on observations.
You can only exclude it on philosophical grounds. In my view, there is absolutely nothing wrong with that.
What I
want to bring into the open is the fact that we are using philosophical criteria and choosing our models. A lot of cosmology tries to hide that. All right, so I placed the first...
I thought you were going to say a circular uterus.
Oh, that too. You have to get surgery, but that's okay because hopefully in this country we have good health insurance. I know a lot of good Western countries do, and hopefully ours will continue to get better. But yes, J4D, what is up? We know God did it because of the fifis. Yeah, that seems to be true. I mean, if you just intuit it, then it's probably true. A book said it too. What is up, Gizmo? Gizmo looks so happy.
He came over. He's like, what's going on? Are you guys doing the show to my satisfaction? I don't know. He doesn't know. He wanted to check it out.
Part of that quote on the screen. And I want you to notice that what he says is, if you take the observations and you construct a model. He said there's lots of models that could fit. And he even
But
throws
there's
one out.
only
He says,
one
you know,
Bible.
if you construct a model of the entire universe and it's spherically symmetric
Right.
and at its center, he said, by
And-
observation, I can't disprove that.
And that's why, like, people sometimes they like, pause it. Like, people sometimes they don't like the idea, or like the idea of like the flying spaghetti monster leaves a bad taste. Even the mouse of atheists, and the point is what he just made right
That's
now
what
is like,
you should
oh, there's
be
lots of models. There's lots of models that can fit. And that's the same thing with deities. There's lots of models. You can construct a flying spaghetti monster deity just as easily as you could construct Yahweh. Doesn't mean you should believe it. Does not mean it's believable or likely or makes any amount of sense whatsoever.
You can make
Just because
anything
you
on paper.
Just because you can conjure up a model that sort of fits the data doesn't mean it's likely to be true.
Well, and if they actually had empirical data, I would be pressed. That'd be a starting point.
Well, not
But
that
what
they have empirical data. Yeah. They're just looking at reality and trying to find nothing that violates it to make it unfalsifiable.
And they have their holy text, which do violate it.
Well, they're just trying to mold their holy text into unfalsifiable positions so that you can't falsify this stuff. Never prove they're God, but you can't prove he's not real either.
He says you can only exclude it on philosophical grounds. Okay, we'll think about that for a moment.
Let's not.
He says it's not the observations. When we look at spherically symmetric universe, or we look at the universe that the Big Bang describes and the shape and the
or a cock and balls universe.
He says you can only choose between the two, not based on observations, but based on.
Now you're starting to speak my language.
Yeah.
And then he says, well, I want to bring into the open is the fact that we are using these philosophical criteria in choosing our models. A lot of cosmology tries to hide that. What this is saying
We're trying to choose what makes sense.
The choice that's made, choosing the Big Bang, is not a choice based on prior.
We do not choose the Big Bang. That is where the empirical evidence lies, and so we are convinced of that.
Observations, looking at the model, and developing it to match. He says there's multiple models. I can't disprove any of them, but this one philosophically
there's a lot of things you can't disprove.
Meets the desire, the expectation,
the want.
That's very important because it puts the Big Bang out of the naturalistic physical mechanisms that it describes itself, and it says, well, we're using natural mechanisms, but we're just choosing that model because we like it better. That's important.
Because it more fits with reality? Yeah.
Yeah, no, I'm sorry. They don't pick it because it feels better than it's their opinion. That is where the empirical evidence lays. And if you have a better model, please present it.
And we have no evidence of a fucking deity of any kind, so why would we pick a model that's dependent on a deity that we have no reason to think exists? I mean, hello, Earth to this physicist. I don't think we're like Houston. I think we have a problem here.
A big one.
Yeah, a big one.
Evolution, and in this case specifically the Big Bang, is a philosophical belief, and as that,
it's not.
It's a religious choice.
That's right, Amy. Look, their model is God.
That is based on a text such as the Bible.
Our model lines it out right there. The science is right below your feet.
That is looked at or is worshipped. But it is a belief system. It is something that is chosen, not based on observations, according to George Ellis, but based on philosophical grounds. Well, that's
negative.
Religious in nature. And construction.
You just made the Kenovan argument.
Science.
I was going to say, and I love anyone who uses religion as an insult, so thank you.
And again, that chair behind him is still worth more than we make in a year.
Probably.
And that the creation model, the creation worldview is merely religion and is not science. That's false. It's not. One is science and one is not. In this case, We have
Sending love,
criteria,
Shane.
and we have to match it scientifically.
Thank you,
We have
Shane.
to match it with our observations and develop our models that proceed from that. The second area, the type of internal inconsistency, is the idea of unknowns explaining unknowns. In science, unknowns are critical to developing good models, developing a hypothesis, testing that hypothesis, seeing if it's correct or not, right? There's always, we're trying to push the boundary in science
how can we do
of
that
what
with
we
God?
know and what we don't know. And so unknowns play a crucial role, a vital role, a very important role. Unknowns are good, except in the case where an unknown, okay, it's there, you don't know what it is, you should try and test it, you're looking at it, trying to define it and describe it, but wait a second, you have another unknown, and you begin to take one thing that you really don't know, it's not really well defined, and you begin to say, that's true, this is good, this is fact, and I'm going to use it to describe something else. Well, you can't describe it yet until you clear up what this is. And now there's
I hate to
oftentimes
tell you this, but it's an STD. So we're going to have to get you some sort of cream.
there's multiple unknowns and you're working towards each one. But when unknowns become dependent on other unknowns, then you're leaving behind the observations that are needed. One case in point, which we'll talk about in just a little bit because it comes in several steps in our discussion.
It's a 12-step program.
Right now, the universe, okay, according to the Big Bang, according to many astrophysicists, is described in sort of three components.
And let me tell you,
Those
there's two things that kill me, okay? So one, we should all, I don't believe in praying, so we should all be hoping that they're asleep. The others are being fed misinformation. They're being fed basically that evolution, that the Big Bang Theory, and really the scientific way of collecting things in some manner is not science. In a weird way, they're saying science is not science. But yeah, I'm sure the 6-day model that they showed, that was airtight.
Are matter, atoms, right? What you're made of and what I'm made of, what our moon and our earth and our sun,
And God
our solar
equals the
system.
square root of -1. If you're trying to say that he's a sissy, yeah, I'd probably put my luck. There's no kink shaming either, okay? But yeah, I'm getting those vibes too.
What the nebula, what the galaxies, what we see, what we measure, what we test, right? Atoms. Two other components that are more recent additions into the model: dark matter and dark energy. Now, is it true that at times we have looked into scientifically different things, into the microscopic or into the macroscopic?
The void.
And there have been things that we didn't see at one point and we saw later. Well, absolutely.
Yeah, we used to not know about witches, so we killed a bunch of women who, thought were spreading the plague. But it turns out there were microscopic organisms the entire time. Ho, hum, those women are still very dead.
The electron, the proton, the internal components of the atom, absolutely. Things very distant, okay? Galaxies and planetary nebulae and things like that.
Things they
Absolutely.
can't explain.
Okay? Dark matter sits at sort of this interesting boundary, okay? It's this unknown, it's something that is not seen. That's where the name comes from, dark, okay? We're not seeing it, it's not visible, we're not observing it. But then it's matter because it's supposed to influence.
Yo, I'm sorry, but if you were presenting a presentation and you started it with, okay, dark matter. First of all, it's dark. Second of all, it's matter. The teacher is just going to go, F. Okay, we definitely understand. You were just looking this topic up. Did you start by just making it the title? Thank you.
Influence in some way, gravitationally, what is out in space, okay? Now, going back, the idea that there is matter in the universe, or matter actually in specific objects, say galaxies, that we are not seeing, but are having a vital impact and an influence. That's been there for decades and decades. Okay, that's great, because as we get better with our techniques and we look deeper and we look more, we can begin to find it and to isolate it. The problem is, in dark matter's case specifically, is that it has become sort of attached to and appended on a whole host of unknowns. Okay, so it's an unknown all in its own. We can look at it and research it and
Thank you, waiting for the sun. I've had fun in every debate that we have ever done, and that is the most important thing, because I think that I'm biased in that I think most of the time the naturalists and the skeptics come away looking like they are defending science, and religious groups come away looking like they believe in the Goat Hunter's Guide to the Galaxy. Yeah, I mean, I don't understand Judaism, Christianity, or Islam fundamentally. I think about that. I try to understand how billions of people believe in what is basically magic. Yeah.
But then to take it and to say we're going to apply it into this area, larger and larger, and that now at this point in time,
keep on going.
You see on the pie chart, right? 24% of our entire universe is made up by this matter, okay, which has mass.
Okay, and first of all, like, he's just throwing terms around a lot, but dark matter helps galaxies form. This seems to be what caused them to cluster. Here is our universe. Oh my God, it's such a small, tiny portion. And dark energy, this force that is pushing us outwards. One of the main reasons for why we know that the Big Bang happened. I don't understand this. Self-defeating, but whatever. Internal consistencies, as he puts facts.
I mean, look at this. There's so much dark matter and dark energy. That means most of the stuff out there we don't completely understand. Okay? All right? Does that mean that has to be God?
Cool. Yeah.
Yeah.
Which has gravity, gravitational influences, 24% of it within our universe. Okay? The other component to that is dark energy, which is vastly different and vastly...
Yeah. We don't know what it is.
Known,
Congratulations.
Observations connected to it.
Yes, it doesn't.
Put your physics degree to work and figure out what it is and win a fucking Nobel Prize or something,
it's called that because it doesn't interact in the visible spectrum of light. It is not. It is dark to us.
So if you're an astrophysicist, you can do the research and you have like the education and the know-how. You go and tell us what it is, and you win your Nobel Prize. Don't just sit there and bitch about the fact that we don't know what it is. You're the physicist. Why don't you tell us what it is? Prove that it is consistent with your God. I mean,
observations, and those observations are always in localities. Okay, so we're going to talk about how they have taken this small unknown, looked at and researched and grappled with, and they have applied it to the entire universe and its development. And we'll see how that is not an extension.
Oh, you sure will.
Here we have a quote at the bottom underneath that.
Quote mine.
This quote comes from the Jet Propulsion Laboratory, an extension of NASA. They have an educational site, right? So this is an educational. They're giving you a nice synopsis of things that are known and not known. And here is what they say. It says, it is also an uneasy feeling that the majority of stuff in our universe is composed of matter and energy that we can't see and have no...
Oh, you mean there are things we don't know? Oh, congratulations.
Once again, this is like learning that most of your body is made of quote-unquote nothing because atoms have a lot of empty space in them.
Yeah.
Yes, it's crazy. This is like learning there are more bacterial DNA within you than there is your own genome. Yes, there's a lot of crazy facts on there.
The amount of bacteria in your body outnumber your own cells.
Yes, I mean, cool facts. This doesn't prove God. This proves that the universe is complicated than I don't know. Yeah,
there are lots of things we still have to learn about it, and that's exciting. But to just throw your hands up and say, "Oh, we just need to bring God in," is pretty much the most anti-science thing you could do at that point.
But God. And James, I don't know if you've ever heard this, but a book did say a thing.
Oh, wait, is that the same book that said that if you put sticks and stripes in front of where goats copulate, that their offspring will be striped?
Yes. Somehow that's science.
Oh, so maybe we should treat that same book on everything else the way that it does genetics. Like, if you shouldn't believe it when it gets genetics wrong, maybe you shouldn't believe anything else it says. I don't know.
That seems to be what it's telling us.
I'm just saying.
Idea what it is. Okay, an uneasy feeling. Well, that uneasiness is because of.
That's when you've been sitting on the toilet for like 20 minutes and you can't get it out. That's an uneasy feeling.
The fact that when we look at stuff and we research stuff, it needs to connect with observations and reality. There's this uneasiness because there is this.
Because you can't push it out. Yeah, I get it. It sucks.
Between what is looked at and what is developed into this theory, composed of matter and energy that we can't see. So we'll watch for these inconsistencies, both internal and external, as we work through some of the stages.
Is he talking about the Bible? Is he going to go over those things?
All right. The very first stage, which we talked about initially, was the singularity. Okay. Now, discussing what came before the singularity is huge question, which we have looked at various points in other lessons. We're going to focus on, at this point, just the idea of the very beginning, not necessarily maybe where it came from at this moment, all the matter, but what about the singularity itself? Its origination, but also, what is it? Why is it dense and not?
That all ties into it.
All right, so first off, this is not a purely physical idea. The concept of a singularity in scientific terms is defined as a point at which a function takes an infinite value. All right, so the definition of a singularity
what does that even
is in the realm of infinity, a non-measurable entity. Physical values do not exist. All right, so singularity is a mathematical concept, sort of a discontinuity.
True.
If you have a nice continuous or smooth function, a singularity is a discontinuity in that function, and so it's a point that has no size, it has no dimensions to it. That is the definition of a singularity.
Which is a shame. I kind of need 15 feet.
I know, Amy.
It's infinite.
Send your thing to the complaint department. You know where that's at.
Yeah, they seem to not be able to believe this, even though we can observe black holes. We can observe black holes radiating.
And they do.
Measured finite value. And so placing that as the initial condition of the Big Bang, at that point, takes it out of being a physical description.
Oh, so fun, Blaster Master, so fun.
In addition, though,
I could just see him
is the idea that
chugging the beer through the funnel.
Yes. Yeah. Okay, right? Because at the origin of the Big Bang, it had to contain all of the matter that would then populate our universe.
Copulate or populate?
Incredibly dense. But the question comes, why?
Well, something's incredibly dense.
If it's a singularity, why can it not be without
pink with polka dots,
or sort of in a vacuum idea?
The whole point of a singularity, especially from a black hole, is there was so much matter. It was so heavy that it fell in. Gravity.
It takes up virtually no space, but has almost infinite density. Not actually no space and not actually infinite density, but as close to that as is feasible.
A single point
within the realm of physics. Yeah, exactly.
A quote from Stephen Hawking He says, at this time,
Oh,
the Big
sure,
Bang,
quote him.
all the matter in
Quote
the
mine.
universe would have been on top of itself. The density would have been infinite. It would have been what is called a singularity. And notice what he says there at the end. At a singularity, all the laws of physics would have broken down. All right. So
True.
talking.
Now,
right?
Amy, I want to ask you a quick question. Does energy take up space?
I guess.
Does energy have
Yeah.
mass?
No, don't think.
Energy does not take up space. Energy has no mass. So you can transfer energy to matter that takes up space, but energy in its raw form does not take up any space. It takes up zero space. So you could theoretically have infinite amount of energy taking up exactly zero amount of space or a singularity. And from that, you could get an infinite amount of matter.
This
That's
does
just
seem to
physics.
be where time-space seems to have begun.
And that's just physics. If you don't like it, I get it that it's hard to comprehend. I don't comprehend it. I'm just telling you what the physicists say. Energy doesn't take up space.
And they continuously try to fight with the PhD academics, but they should write their own papers. Please, just go and actually peer review something with your own model.
Well, I can sympathize with them, Blaster, because I've had my hairline since I was like 17, and people said it was receding back then, but it stayed the same. That's just my hairline. So maybe that's just his hairline. I don't know.
Vastly to the Big Bang cosmology at different stages and in different ways. He says, at the beginning, at this singularity where all the matter has to be on top of itself,
like Prince
in this
William.
unmeasurable,
Kiki.
infinite
Start
state.
falling at
He
25.
says all the physical laws are broken down. Well, what does that tell us about its physical condition? It means that it's not physical. It is a non-physical.
We don't know.
It is a philosophical choice, using Dr. Ellis's words. How then, if he says all the laws of physics would have broken down, how then can we know? How then can we know that the singularity contained all the matter or was infinitely dense, right? We use the laws
See,
of
now I
physics.
can't help but think he looks like the child of Dr. Phil. Like,
Oh, wow.
he does.
I never
look
thought
like,
of that.
like a young old guy. There's something going on there.
Physics
Possibly.
to define and to describe and to measure. How can I know how much something weighs? How can I know how much
Pick it up in your
can't know.
hands, baby.
is in an
You can't know.
How can I know what sort of gravity it has, or what sort of
You don't
heat
know.
it has, temperature?
Ask God.
density? All
God will
of these
tell you.
things depend on the physical laws to measure them, to describe them. And so if you take out all the physical laws, then you can't tell me how much it weighs, or how dense it is, or how hot it had to begin. Could the singularity have been infinitely vacuous? Well,
It was
in this
super
model,
hot,
you couldn't
baby.
tell me that, yes or no.
But how hot, Amy?
Stage 2 of the Big Bang
Super.
is the idea of expansion, all right? So given that the singularity is there, their model says that it began to expand.
I don't want to talk about expansion.
The initial
I
question
really
is
don't.
why?
Oh my! I actually think you do. I think someone needs to talk about expanding into my soul.
I don't want to talk about it.
Why expansion?
Yes.
Why
Why
not
expansion?
Why did it have to
Why
move?
does
It's
it
a
always have
triggering
to
word.
be contraction? Come on, just talk about inflation more.
It's not, we're not asking the question, what caused it at this point? We're just asking the
No,
question
that
of
would
why
actually be
expansion itself. You think about something that is infinitely dense, or you think about something that has extreme density.
I trust you on that, Leo. I'm sure.
Physical laws
That's
tell us
true.
that is a case of
Still.
contraction. The Big Bang will need that contracting process from gravity and mass much later in its sequence if it's going to generate
Yeah.
all of the structures we observe. But at this stage, they need the opposite to happen.
And all that means is he's able to put his religious beliefs aside from his physics work, and he's able to go in the laboratory, and he's able to write good papers that accurately describe reality using physics. So if he's able to do that, he could be a successful physicist. There's nothing that says he can't. It's just what he does after he's off the clock that kind of makes him go off the deep end, right?
And I just want to say that a session holding my account system legitimately, god damn it, I just want to say that a session variable legitimately killed my father. So PHP is definitely evil, and
But also he's an assistant manager at World Video Bible School, so that makes sense.
Of inflation, and we're about to talk about that. But inflation is not the reason for the initial expansion, because inflation is a period that begins and ends. So expansion itself does not follow simply from the physical laws. Again, the singularity had no physical laws, so the reason why it expanded and didn't contract, you can't
birth.
You can't describe that.
Crickets?
Not a purely physical description. Third, the inflationary period. All right, so this idea of inflation, it means that the singularity was...
That's right now, Biden inflation?
But you see,
no, another inflation.
In an enormous universe. So you got to get from an infinitely small, right, a singularity, a single point, all the way to the vast universe that we live in. You got to do that. And according to them, you have 13.7, 13.8 billion years to do that. Well, even in their model, that is not enough time to get from the starting condition to what we see today. And so the idea of inflation was proposed and put forward.
It's strange, because that's a claim Ken Hovind makes too. So go figure.
This, or try to put something in, because the standard
put something in, baby.
Absolutely didn't work, even from that expanding point to what we see today. But the question, again, it needs to be asked: why inflation? Why did it begin, and why did it stop? Now, this falls into sort of two of our categories. We're using an unknown to explain an unknown. All right, so we're using expansion, but we need to expand really, really rapidly. And so we throw in
do buffet like 4 or 5 days in a row.
Which is where we get
see that rapid expansion.
So here is this physical field that we need to exist. We don't know anything about it. We don't know where it is or why it is. We don't know why it started or why it stopped, but we really need it, because we have this other unknown over here of how we move from small size to big size, trying to match our observations.
How do you move from small size to big size, Amy? What's the scientific answer?
Well, I'm going to say, first of all, you get out of the cold, and then you start rubbing it a bunch.
Is that priming the pump?
Yes, it is.
Oh, okay. I think we had a lesson on that from our President Donald Trump, who told us that was when he gets it ready for Melania.
Oh, my.
Priming the pump.
That I wanted to do a PSA that windmills don't cause cancer.
Inflation is this starting and stopping. On this chart, okay, at the very far left end, you see the words Big Bang there in black. Moving into that sort of expanding zone, there's a little bracket, okay, and a little word that says inflation, and that is showing you this very, very rapid increase in size.
That picture George Soros next to it?
Yes. This is George Soros.
There's no physical mechanism to generate either one of those. That's the third stage. Literally, we have not even got to the first 1 second of the universe's existence in the Big Bang.
I know, isn't it crazy? All that stuff happens so fast. Go figure.
Do not have
a mechanism
from one stage to the next past the first second.
Amazing what happens when you're not using magic.
When we now change gears just a little bit, and we say, there are these internal inconsistencies, these problems that arise. We have external inconsistencies on top of that. We have observations today how do those observations, when laid back into the Big Bang cosmology,
Lay it back for us.
how do they
Please don't.
help us? How does it hurt us? How does it take the Big Bang and its
Is it gonna hurt us?
destruction?
It
First, we
hurts
have
so good, Amy. It hurts so
It
good.
does.
Oftentimes, for creationists, for those who believe in a young universe, okay, a time frame not of billions of years,
Flat
the
earthers,
question is,
or
well,
their
there's this
Those
light
who
travel problem.
Wake up and their breakfast is
Big Bang.
inhaling the contents of a spray paint can. Yeah, them. Let's talk to them and see what they think about cosmology. Great way to start the day.
Has a light travel problem as well. You see, we have this enormous, vast universe, and to get from small to large, we have to do that. But there's this observation called the cosmic microwave background, and the cosmic microwave background is a measurement of microwave radiation.
We should have Darth Vader music playing, like the Imperial March, like dun dun, the cosmic microwave background. It's like, yeah.
He keeps on giving answers that, like, if I were a teacher, I'm like, yeah, thanks. Really, is that what it is?
A measurement.
Yeah. I'm surprised at that too, Jason. That they both ran away from this. Go figure. I'm sure they're having
that's
fun
right.
on. Yeah.
Sending love to all of our theist brothers and sisters. They do seem to disappear the closer that we get to the open mic.
Go figure, right? Go figure.
Which we will be heading to. We're about 3/4 the way through, so eventually we'll be heading into the open mic.
We'll be there.
Hello, Gizmo. Our producer has been working hard behind the stage.
He's been kneading too much on my legs, so I gotta pick him up.
Oh, and kneading can be painful. I'm sympathetic, even though it's so adorable.
It is. They do it because that's what, if anyone doesn't know, that's what cats do on their mother to stimulate the milk production and the milk to flow. So cats kind of do that in their older age, just as a reliving their childhood, kind of a stress relief kind of thing.
Exactly. It means they love you. They're just feeling comfortable.
They love you. It's a sign of affection. They're relaxed. They're reminiscing about their childhood as a kid.
We have to do that, but there's this observation called the cosmic microwave background. And the cosmic microwave background is a measurement of microwave radiation.
Just love that. Thank you. Yeah, is it? It's in the name. Thank you.
In the Big Bang cosmology.
Oh, go figure, right?
The remnant when the universe became transparent and the photons were then able to traverse space sort of unimpeded. But the cosmic microwave background has this property that when you look in different directions, the relative intensities are the same. But yet this background radiation, according to the Big Bang, is supposed to be equal across the entire sort of volume that the proceeded to develop. Well, the problem is
volume, and I mean also
even in the Big Bang, for that thermalization, for that evening out, for that leveling of
evening out
in this region, for that to happen. In trying to deal with this substantial problem.
I hope so, Jason. We should make as many MS-53K references as possible.
Maybe it thermalized really quick, and then after it thermalized, after it got there, we then can initiate and push this inflation and have the universe that we see today. This is actually a picture of the radiation that is from the cosmic microwave.
I thought it was a picture of Amy's lunch. Oh, go figure.
The very middle section is all the microwave radiation that comes from our Milky Way galaxy.
Go figure. Look, this is a real physicist here. I mean, look at that.
Then we have
real science.
The sky. Now, this is a little bit misleading image. It's the image that you typically see when you research this. It's a little bit misleading because the scale is within 1 degree Kelvin. Okay, actually micro Kelvin. And
I thought it was an omelet.
Really only a micro degree apart from each other, and so it is a very smooth in its intensity level. But how did that happen? This is the observation. This
Tell us,
is
how did God make it happen?
Chipmunks.
We then apply it to the model, and we have this.
Well, squirrels, once again. very dangerous, try to take over the world, setting economic disasters. They have to fight alongside or against sometimes the Illuminati and George Soros.
An element that does not fit. How does it have an approximately uniform temperature across its entire universe?
He is sinister. He is.
That is the question that remains unanswered and not answerable in the current Big Bang cosmology. We see that the microwave background falls sort of after that red disk in this image there, sort of in the middle. That is the point when that radiation began to emanate. The next major external inconsistency is that of matter and antimatter. Now, the first question is, you might have heard that term antimatter, right? A lot of science fiction shows talk about it, maybe Star Trek, something like that. Antimatter is sort of this a little bit misleading term because antimatter is matter. It is just sort of an opposite charge or an opposite
exact opposite,
to the normal usual counterpart. And we see that in the idea of an electron. An electron is a subatomic particle inside an atom that has a negative charge. The antimatter, or the opposite, which has the same mass and the same characteristics except that it has a positive charge, is called a positron. Okay, not a proton, but a positron. So you have this electron and you have this positron. You also have a proton and an antiproton. You have neutrinos and antineutrinos. It's not some sort of science fiction.
You'd almost think it was matter and antimatter, right? You'd almost think that.
And have their own characteristics. Now, the question is, though, that
once again, he's not getting an A on his
that the Big Bang
papers.
described, all of the physical processes that tell us how matter and antimatter interact, how they change forms into energy and matter, tell us that they do this in equal abundances. Okay, so over in Europe, there's CERN, or the Large Hadron Collider. Okay, you have these particle accelerators that are taking these small subatomic particles and getting them up to high speeds, slamming them into other atoms to see what comes out. It's a beautiful science because it follows conservation laws.
So beautiful.
What comes into the system has to be accounted for by what comes out of the system. And we see that there's these matter.
Amy, when Wendy's goes in the system, Wendy's got to come out of the system, right?
When we think about the Big Bang.
Makes sense. Though I will continuously say, I want to see how Christianity could get us a burger. They cannot get us into the Wendy's, out of the Wendy's, and to home. Somehow, it is the foundation of logic. The audacity for them to say this crap is nonsense.
That's right, Leo. He says matter like it's a foreign word, like it's matter, like it's a nebulous, strange concept we're not familiar with. Yeah.
Oh my! I'm feeling it in my hands. It's definitely matter that very much matters.
No matter.
You see, because in our universe, it is dominated by usual regular matter. Antimatter's there, but it is extremely minor. What we see here's a quote from CERN, the high energy particle physicists, okay, that run these colliders. They say the Big Bang should have created equal amounts of matter and antimatter in the universe based on every law and principle that we know that we function at and we do repeatable science now. There should be equal abundances of these two.
Right, and so the fact that
the observations,
the estimates of the Big Bang,
they go on to say, but today everything we see.
So the fact that that's what they expected to get, but they got where there was, I think the estimate was like 1% more matter than antimatter. So 1% didn't annihilate each other instantly. And so that's all the matter that we observed. And we don't know why that was, but we're happy that it was, because if that wasn't the case, we wouldn't be here. Does that mean it was a God that did it? Yeah, we're made of matter. So we're fortunate all that matter didn't annihilate itself when it contacted with antimatter. We're fortunate we're alive and happy to be alive. But where do you go to a God from that? I don't get it. I mean, just because it could have been the other way
Smallest-
doesn't mean there's a God. I don't know.
life forms on Earth to the largest stellar objects is made almost entirely of matter. Comparatively, there
Yeah,
is
we know.
not much antimatter to be found. This asymmetry, right? The unbalance between matter and antimatter is a huge problem for the processes
Yeah,
described
and they're working on
in the
it.
Big Bang. Okay,
They don't
This is
understand it, but they're working on it.
matter and antimatter. It's production and exchange.
Exactly, and they always tend to focus on subjects that, you know, the beginning of the universe, the beginning
The hardest,
of life. Yeah, the
hardest
subjects.
things that we have the least amount of data on.
Yeah, I mean that's why it is the God of the Gaps, because
Right.
that's all they
where,
talk
where
about.
we don't have a lot of knowledge on, and that's what they want to talk about all the time.
Change with energy, right? We have the equation that Einstein, E equals mc squared, the fact that matter and energy, okay, you don't create or destroy either one, but they can change forms between each other. You smash a high energy proton or electron or helium nucleus into other matter, you will get forms of energy, gamma rays,
Proton, neutron,
neutrinos, various
or helium?
particles on the other side.
What?
If that's the physical processes, if that's the observation, where is that remnant in the Big Bang?
All around us, the CMB.
One of the last,
Also, yeah, I was gonna say that is what the cosmic
Yeah, that's the CMB.
is.
Congratulations, you just stumbled onto it without even realizing what you're saying.
External inconsistency I
Thank
want to
you,
talk about
Dr. Phil's love child.
is the structure formation problem.
Which who sees his love child with?
Assumes a homogeneous.
Martha Stewart?
That is
No,
the
Paula Dean.
Universe. Big words. All they mean is that homogeneous. If you're in different locations, the universe.
Maybe homogeneous.
If you're in one location but looking in different directions,
Only
the
on
universe
Tuesdays.
should look the same. The uniformity, though, of the cosmic microwave background is often used to justify these parameters. The problem is you need a mechanism to transition from this homogeneous, this isotropic universe into what we see today. When you think about the universe, what are the objects or the imagery that you see in your mind? You see these beautiful stars.
Wait,
you see these planets. You see these amazing galaxies, right? These large-scale structures. Okay, even galaxies form sort of clusters of other galaxies and superclusters.
They do.
And so you have all of this structure, but how do you get from smoothness and evenness and isotropic viewpoint to what we see in all of the structure formation? Here is an image called.
There were I can't even say irregularities. If it could fit out of my mouth, I'm sorry. There's so much filled inside of it, apparently. But the fact that there were only small changes means that gravity eventually worked up very big changes. Eventually, the first stars coalesced. Eventually, they lived and died and gave rise to higher elements. Great things.
And that's it. And a lot of times these people will, when they're trying to do God of the Gaps, they'll say, oh, well, why is gravity so much weaker than the other fundamental forces of nature? And the answer is, we don't know. We don't know. Next question. Just because we doesn't know doesn't mean it's God.
And they take I don't know often to be an insult. How dare you?
They hate it.
You can say I don't know. I gave you two options, yes or no, this or that. Well, I'm sorry, I don't know.
Why is gravity weaker than the other fundamental forces? Why is that the case? Yet,
I don't know.
Why is it that you, as weak as you are able to pick up a cup and you're able to defeat the entire gravity of the Earth pulling down on that cup when you're so small? Why is gravity so weak? We don't know.
Why does God seem to get defeated by iron chariots? Apparently, these are mysteries.
There you go.
We'll never understand.
Called the Hubble Ultra Deep Field. It was an image taken by the Hubble Space Telescope of a small patch of sky, very small, that didn't have any observable known objects or entities in that.
They have a pill for that universe. It's okay.
that direction. And so if we sit at and we stare at it for 1 million seconds, 2 million seconds, what could we find?
And that's the end of our yoga workout.
What would be there? And what do they find? They find this. Full,
oh wow,
practically every illuminated object on that image is another galaxy, potentially even another group of galaxies.
You mean, Amy? Let me tell you this. It's going to blow your mind, Amy. There's a lot of galaxies out there. Did you know that? Like, no. I mean, when I say a lot, I mean a lot. Like, there's a lot of galaxies. You understand?
Look, James, I don't know if you know, but even in you telling me, I just learned apparently, not only are there a lot of galaxies, but there are like a lot of galaxies.
Like a lot. Each galaxy, Amy, it doesn't have a lot. It has a lot of stars. I mean, a lot, but a lot of stars. Like, and also, so many stars.
Speaking of which, they can't explain how stars come about. So we actually have models. They make fun. Oh, there is stellar evolution, stellar, really, cosmology. Okay, cool. Yes, that's science. What do you have? The 6-day model? Yeah, that was really cool. That was neat. Please provide more evidence for that.
Well, let me read you from Genesis, Amy. It says, he made the stars also. That's it.
True. You know what, James? I had no idea, and I almost forgot. A book says a thing.
It said he made the stars also because, he was doing a few other things that day. Because remember, it took him 2 days just to separate water from land, but on that one day, he made the stars, the sun, the planets, the galaxy. He just made everything. So don't put too much pressure on him.
It was a really hard day. Each day was like super hard. That's also what she or they said.
The universe is amazing, very prolific, very abundant, but you got to have a mechanism to form it. And I mentioned earlier about the idea of, okay, well, matter can coalesce, right? Gravity pulls inward, right? It's an inward force. It's something that
someone's definitely getting an A on this science paper.
Well, that's not what you told us at the very beginning, right? We needed expansion and we needed inflation, and now we need
no. Holy moly! Dark energy is a outward pulling force. Nonetheless, local pockets of gravity pull things together. Holy moly. Like, PhD. Really? In what? Well, I guess he did say it earlier, it was astro. If this is a PhD in astrophysics, and look, I feel bad when I attack people's academic credentials, because he probably, I'm sure, did great work and all this stuff. But a lot of these dudes go into the business of this just because they want to profess their religious beliefs, if not attack the foundations of the scientific community and science in general, because they're pushing miracles. You're not going to hear until the very end. Once again, we're about to get to Zeno. If you were waiting for Zeno, this part, if you've heard of the title, it's about to come. Also, that's what they said.
From gravity. You see the long, gradual process of forming galaxies. Not only do we have to give smoothness to the abundance of structures that we see today,
too. Shaved.
But you got to do it really quick. Okay, because
you do.
But the Lord said in Isaiah 11, "Thou shalt not shave thy balls with dollar store razors," and that's true.
That's true. Finally, a commandment we can get behind.
So in the Big Bang idea, the deeper you look, right, the more distant you look, you're looking back in time. And so at some point, you're looking back to the moments following the Big Bang. Well, what should you find? You should find no structures, or you should find structures that are very, very underdeveloped. They're not well developed and well formed.
Underdeveloped? No, we're well developed.
Looking deeper and deeper, and we're still
exactly. I don't know if people know this, but the universe actually does lift.
It's ripped, right? Like Mary Baxter's version of Jesus. Like
exactly.
6'4", blonde, blue eyes, and he is jacked. He is ripped. I mean, did you hear how muscular he is? He is like Roger Clemens back in his heyday when he was taking like 5 shots of steroids every other day.
James, I didn't just hear about it. I saw it.
Oh, you saw it now, did you?
Gotta see it for yourself.
So whether you're adhering to the top-down galaxy evolution model or the bottom-up galaxy,
whether you're adhering to the reality cosmology model or the fairy tale god model, whatever your flavor is,
evolution model, you've got to do it fast.
Gotta go fast.
That's not.
Gotta do it fast, Damon.
It's like Sonic.
In a physical.
There's a stopwatch here. Click. You gotta do it fast, Damon. Come on.
Gotta go fast.
When Gizmo wants his treats, you gotta go fast. If you're gonna take a long time to get him his catnip treats, then he is gonna meow at you until you get that shit done.
I can't tell if he looks like a Chad or not. I mean, I guess factually he is a Chad, but
this guy or Gizmo?
No, Gizmo just looks adorable.
In a concluding thought to our
concluding
lessons,
maybe there's a God. Finally. maybe there is a God after all.
We are going into the concluding thoughts. I am going to send the Discord link into the chat for the open mic. If you would like to join us to explain, to help us interpret all of the wisdom that has been befalling us, because we have been talking the Big Bang versus science and the Bible, and apparently I know. And we're about to get to the Bible.
Versus mythology.
I want to focus on and think about just for a moment.
Focus, Newman. Focus.
There is a
consistency. S-C-U-S. What does that spell?
A consistency to the fact that
a good time.
The creation was dark. We see that what Moses wrote, right? Genesis 1 and 2.
What Moses wrote?
God's creation.
So let's just quickly point
He's whipping out the jokes at the line.
Like
Moses
I said,
wrote.
You can't start with Zeno. You got to start like, look, this is just meditation. All religions are acceptable. Right. And then slowly but surely you learn that everyone else is bringing upon the end of the world, but it's okay. Our true fathers are the aliens that are going to come pick us up.
So let's look at what a guy who never existed wrote. Let's look at that.
Week. His setting.
And yeah, Moses never existed. Let's just put that right on the...
That's almost objective at this point.
Things in motion, providing the context, providing the structure, providing the reasoning and the purpose. Genesis 1 and 2, right? So Moses wrote it. We turn to the old law, and the old law confirms original.
It confirmed itself, Amy.
11, in 6 days, God created.
Did you realize that?
Exactly. No. You don't understand. It's not circular. Because exactly. We know it's true because the Bible says that it's true. It's genius.
There you go. Look, Moses wrote it. The old law confirmed it. Boom. One book later. Look at that. Huh.
That within the universe is. All right, but we also have the psalmist, right? The psalmist sang about
Bruno Mars sang about it.
That by the word of God it was created. In the beginning, God created it. That he established it. That he upholds it.
See, now we're getting into the real science, ladies and gentlemen.
The meat and potatoes, here we go.
Yeah.
We have in the New Testament, Mark 10, verse 6, right? In the beginning, God created them male and female. Jesus proclaimed.
Actually,
that's like a direct attack at you, Amy. That's where they try to kick you in the nuts and say, look, you're wrong, Amy. Look, because Jesus proclaimed it. God made them male and female. There you go, Amy. Stick that in your pipe and smoke it.
Go check out Skeptic Haven, sending love to Shane, Wes, Shelley, student Dr. Ben, and myself did a fantastic stream on being intersex. So it turns out that the boxes are not like the Bible describes, and more of a gradient.
And I have to agree. I have to say, Shane, and we talked about this a few streams ago when we reviewed Amy's debate against Taylor, who is a PhD student, and Pat Lowinger, who is a PhD candidate in archaeology, came in, and he said that he thought that her university should take a look at that debate and take a hard critical examination on whether she is a valid candidate for a PhD from that university. And that's the thing. They're not just handing out PhDs willy-nilly. When you get a PhD from a school, you are representing that school. Like, you are going out representing that institution as a scholar from them. And when you just come out and you put out crap like this, it does make you sit back and wonder, like, would you want yourself associated with somebody who is putting out nonsense like this? And I would say no.
God's creative
chicanery, yes.
And we turn to Romans and we see that Paul also preached that same
I turn to Romans often too.
Amy, is this not like the ultimate circular reasoning? Like, look, the Bible says something and the Bible says it's right. So when we go around in a circle, look, it's all says it's right. Like, I don't know what else you need from that. What more do you need, Amy? It's right. It says it's right. It says it's really, really right. And then it comes back later and says, no, don't worry, I'm still right. And what more do you want, Amy?
It's like ring around the rosy.
Yeah, it's right because it says it's right. And it says it's right because it's right. What more do you need?
So that they are without excuse. You see,
no excuse.
We have what's around us. We have this structure, this development. We have this complexity. We have this design. We have this functionality. We have this purpose. If I, as Moses did, as the psalmist did, as Jesus did, as Paul did, if I attribute that to God, does that stop me from finding out about the moons of Saturn? Does that stop me from investigating why the Andromeda Galaxy has these satellite galaxies orbiting it? Why?
And the answer is no. It doesn't stop you from doing any of that. And there are tons of great scientists, there are tons of great researchers, tons of great PhDs who do really good science and do great work. And they do that because when they go into the laboratory, when they write their papers, they leave their religion at the door. They don't bring that into the lab, or they don't integrate Old Testament theology into their papers on cosmology. That's why they're respected, and you can do that. And I admit there's some level of mental gymnastics in that, but if you're willing to do that, you could still be a good scientist, because we don't care what your ultimate beliefs are as long as you do good science, right?
Exactly. As long as you hang up your church coat and put on the lab coat.
Right. If we read the paper and everything you say in there makes sense and it's consistent with the data and it's physically accurate, why would we care at the end of the day what you believe? Like, we could still disagree with your fundamental ultimate beliefs, but that wouldn't affect our opinion on the veracity of your scientific conclusions if they are consistent with the data and the methodology is right and that everything is accurate. We wouldn't care one way or the other.
And all right, we're going to bring it into the landing and head into a short open mic, and before we open up to the Discord.
Because we both work early in the morning, so
yes,
we'll be at work before most of you guys go to sleep. Yeah.
We're coming closer to it. Does that stop me from understanding how particle physics works? How there's antimatter and matter? Absolutely not. I can look at Monet and say that is
no,
amazing.
God doesn't answer anything.
I can look at his individual.
Yeah, Jason, I can only wonder about that myself.
See how he created and mixed his oils. I can look at the heavens and do the same. Monet did the art. God painted the heavens.
With what?
It's amazing.
Amazing.
logistics are not really Apologetics Press strong suit, or really religion in general.
Not at fucking all. Wow.
Yeah, that was something.
Wow. Yeah. That was extra special, Amy.
I'm just amazed at, once again, for the title. The very right out the gate, it's like, all right, so about the Big Bang, evolution's not true. Thanks. Thank you.
So I have to take credit because I do oftentimes look for videos that we can review, and I often look for things just like this where a theist is representing their views with, and it's not so impressive. And unfortunately, I keep finding examples of it, and I found this one. Like we found one last night. If the theist would just stop using such asinine, ridiculous arguments, it would be so easy for us. But
we would stop picking apart these videos.
Yeah, they keep doing it, so we're going to keep exploiting that weakness of theirs.
Hi, Gizmo. He just looks so happy every time he's on the podcast. Such a sweetie. Oh, he looks like he's smiling. But yes, we are Midnight Ranting on the Big Bang versus Science in the Bible. We really didn't get a lot of science, I'll tell you that much. And we just
very little.
We got some bibble, like a chocolate or caramel topping at the very end. It was a ice cream sundae.
I doubt that, Jason. I think they all pretty much ran away from the chat. I don't see Bubble in there anymore. I haven't seen
the theists don't seem to run away towards the open mic, but we love them.
We had Marshall in the back. I hope he comes back. He popped
We're gonna have Marshall, and then
Sinister Porpoise
I
was
see
back
Sinister, but we're moving into the open mic. So sending love, we're having fun. Do 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 do. Open mic. Do 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 do.
Open bip.
Ooh.
Marshall. Hey, Marshall.
Hey.
Hi.
How's it going?
How you doing?
Oh, well, how are you? And
it has been a while.
And we are talking about the Big Bang versus Science in the Bible. Hope you're doing well. What are your thoughts about the video, the topic, or anything?
Oh, we lost Monkey for Banana there.
All right. Well,
hopefully they won't come back.
Love. Send her love. So, and we are going. We're bringing Sinister Porpoise is back, and with a okay. Look, that is a valid reason for rejoining. That's right.
Yeah.
Sinister Porpoise.
The accessories.
Look, excuse me. Accessories are important. I will say I had to spend time finding my watch right before stream. But yes, Sinister Porpoise.
God hit it.
That's right. And yet I didn't need to pray, and somehow I found it.
You should have prayed. You would have found it faster.
Amaretto, sending love. And all right, Sinister Porpoise, looking fabulous. We are Skeptic and Ranting on the Big Bang versus Science in the Bible. How are you doing tonight, and what are your thoughts?
I am well. I'm working on statistics homework since I'm taking classes over the summer to make sure I can get ahead of it, and a philosophy class. But the problem is, or what was the problem? I don't know.
We don't know.
The Bible says nothing about the Big Bang either way, because it only says about the creation of the earth. So I don't know why people have a problem with the Big Bang. It's outside of the scope of the Bible.
Well, I think it's that people use the Big Bang and say that where the Bible says God created the stars, and people would say, "Oh, well, the Big Bang says stars came about from the Big Bang."
No, it doesn't.
But the Bible says that. Well, I know it doesn't directly say it, but yeah.
I mean, Big Bang took place several billion years before stars formed, if I recall correctly.
At least several 100 million years, I believe, before there was any significant star formation. Yes, I believe that's true.
But they say there wasn't enough time in the Big Bang. Thus, if you could just do it in 6
Amy,
days.
she's got her
somehow
glove
that
on.
makes
She's
more
got her
sense.
glove on. Uh-oh.
Uh-oh.
The doctor from the video may have to bend over.
Now this is getting spicy.
Should have got my cigarette holder too, but
Oh my.
Bend over, doctor. The Sinister's got something for you.
And tell me the news. I'm pretty sure that's how that goes.
and I need to get new gloves. These have holes in them.
From overuse.
I was gonna say sometimes when you put things in places so often, you have to get new ones. But that's okay. It's just
these don't fit well, and these don't fit well, and I do have a cat.
That is the best statement that I've heard all night. We
That's
should
like the
always
perfect
be having
for
cats.
anything, having a cat. Yeah, they do all sorts of chicanery, as we heard in chat.
Which I'm pretty sure was a hot song that topped the charts.
Chicanery?
Yes.
Chicanery, yeah, we heard that in chat. It was a point of contention.
I thought it was the Billboard number 100 song.
Both.
Chicanery.
It's like shenanigans. Amy, I swear to God, I'll pistol whip the next person who says the word shenanigans.
Shenanigans.
Dun, dun, dun.
Amy hands me the gun.
Who do we have?
Well, I think that Marshalle dropped off, but we're sending lots of hearts.
Yeah, Monkey for Banana, Marshalle, come back on if you
And
can.
I would also say that no, Big Bang and science seem to go together and not with the Bible. Just gonna put that on the table. But also sending love out into the interwebs. We're going to go for a little bit of open conversation. And then I think James and I are both going to bed.
Yeah, we're going to go to bed if nobody comes on real quick here. Yeah.
Well, I will say we love skeptics. What we can't help ourselves. We're giving out an open call. If you
it's a guilty pleasure.
With us, it's true. Yeah. If you, we're about to get another person, another skeptic on. But I mean, we can't help ourselves. I mean, the fact that this is science also helps us draw skeptics and academics.
Let's get Dr. Torn on.
But Jason,
Doctor.
Oh, well, hold on one second. Before I completely go, Jason, Sinister was about to say something.
Let's get LPP in so we can talk about whether or not DNA is a code. I enjoy
that. I don't
that.
think that's going to happen.
I will just say it's an open call for LPP or any theist creationist, especially young Earth creationists, to come on here. The problem is that we give them time to give their arguments, and they want to be kicked and have a victim complex.
Yeah. Yeah, we give them too much freedom.
Exactly. But they're allowed to. Sending come one, come all, just not on our sheets. I have to do laundry tomorrow. But, Jason Torn, welcome to the panel. We are Skeptic and Ranting for about 10 more minutes. I hope you are having fun. We are talking the Big Bang, apparently versus science in the Bible. Dun, dun, dun. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, cool.
Hey, Jason, how you doing?
Good. I hope you guys are doing good. Hey, Sinister.
We're good.
Good to see you. Hope your stats work out well. Use R, not MATLAB.
I kind of have to use MATLAB because it's the
that's what
textbook material for the class.
Yeah, right on.
MATLAB, not MATLAB, MATLAB.
Oh, it's MATLAB? Okay. All right.
That's a different class.
I don't know MATLAB. I know MATLAB, but I don't know MATLAB.
And see,
your wife will tell you about it.
I, only being in Breaking Bad, only know Meth Lab.
No Meth Lab. Yeah, no,
the Meth Lab on Noah's Ark, yes.
Yes, only the blue stuff, though.
So okay, so this video, I'm glad you guys ran that. I hadn't seen that. That was interesting. Just few comments. Like I always find it weird when like these scientists are up in front of like a religious pulpit, like a church pulpit. I'm like, what's going on here? That like, you know, I don't bring pastors into the classroom to talk about science or religion. But I guess they feel the need to bring up purported experts, you know, to, you know, talk about why science, I guess, has holes in it and therefore God. So they got to bring up. Can you imagine you're at church and they've got like some dude who's like an astrophysicist to talk about the Big Bang. You know, there's some people sleeping in that.
I'm sure there were.
Like I said, I think earlier, there's only two options. Option A is that they're asleep. Actually, the best option that we should hope for, because option B is they're getting misinformation, that they go out there and be like, oh no, I heard from Mr. Science Man how much the Big Bang is actually mythology.
I mean, the dudes, for whatever purpose, you know, the folks that are on stage talking have confirmation bias, and the people in the audience have confirmation bias, and so it's just fulfilling what they already are thinking. The guys up here are like, look at all these holes, like they can't explain this and they can't explain this, but
this is a guy with a doctorate pointing this out and he can't explain it, so maybe science is bullshit.
You gotta wonder when somebody who actually, like that guy has a PhD from Alabama,
University of Alabama, yeah.
I mean, granted, like he's not doing anything now. Like he's not at an academic institution. He's not at he's not a research scientist someplace.
But he was at one point a legitimate scientist. He has a legitimate degree from an accredited institution.
Yeah, I mean, I agreed. I mean, he has a degree, so he obviously went through. He went through the appropriate processes to get that. I can only imagine what his mentor and what his PhD committee members think of him. I mean, because he's up here spouting a bunch of stuff that essentially is in contradiction to the consensus of science. He's not really following any scientific processes. He's just saying, look at these things. They can't explain this and they can't explain that. But that doesn't mean shit about God. That doesn't mean anything. So I don't even know what the point of that discussion was, is to like shore up or provide fodder for people to be able to say, these scientists, they don't actually know the full story. So this gives us good reason for God because they can't explain everything. That's just incomprehensible to me.
They don't know everything, so we can bring God in as a catch-all explanation for everything science doesn't know.
Yeah, and he wasn't even like, as Leo was pointing out in the chat, he was making some like assertions that weren't actually true. He was talking about like infinities with regards to functions in relationship to a singularity that was wrong. In terms of discontinuous functions, which can happen, but it's not all the time. He was making a bunch of assertions which actually aren't true. He made that statement about George Ellis and trying to make implications that people use philosophical criteria for their calculations in terms of the Big Bang. That's not true. I mean, people may draw inferences from the outcomes of their physics analysis that have some philosophical components, but that's not how they formulate those hypotheses. So it's just a bunch of, I was really like, it's disheartening when I see people that actually have degrees up there talking like that.
Actually promoting misinformation, disinformation, and when they actually use information, it's generally to prop up their position that is wrong.
I mean, somebody could go up there and say, look, you're saying that these positions from a scientific perspective have inconsistencies. Okay, even if I granted you that, which I don't think is the case in all the instances they described, even if we granted that and said there are inconsistencies, that doesn't mean shit with regards to your other position. You haven't provided any evidence for a God. You're only saying there are inconsistencies on the other side. So, I mean, technically, if we looked at both sides and said which one has more evidence, the God hypothesis definitely doesn't have as much evidence.
You're saying the 6-day weight loss program is not science for creating the universe?
I did not. Yeah, I don't see any evidence for the 6-day creationism, whatever you want to call it. The Weight Watchers Guide to the Universe. I don't know.
Indeed, it goes well with the goat herder. And all right. Thank you so very much, Jason, for joining us. We're going to add Marshalle in, and then I think we are going to go for 10 more minutes. We'll go to the 2:45, and then we'll do outros because, like I said, we are actually, James and I, going to see Dawn once again. I have seen daytime once before. It was fun.
You didn't melt?
I didn't melt, apparently, even though when I sometimes go into churches, I burn. But, Marshalle, we are midnight ranting on the Big Bang versus science and the Bible. I hope you are doing well tonight. What are your thoughts about the topic, the video, the topic, anything we've been talking about tonight?
Thanks, Amy. It's just Marshall. It's still Marshall. I just spell it differently.
Oh, okay. Then, Marshall, how are you doing tonight? And what are your thoughts about the topic?
So, I really think you're both wrong. All of you are wrong. Scientists, religious people, you've all got it backwards, actually. So, yes, there's evidence that the galaxies are moving away from us. There's cosmic microwave, background radiation, everything. But that's not because of a big bang or a singularity or anything. What actually happened is everything, like, we were actually bigger in the past, and we are shrinking at such an alarming rate, and the space between us is staying the same size. But everything, all matter in the universe is getting smaller. And the microwave background radiation is just the leftover image of the actual size that we used to be. So it's like this after image, right? And so we are shrinking. Eventually, we are going to become, each person is going to become their own singularity in the future. That fits the data equally well as either explanation. But you're blinded by this scientific cabal that wants you to believe in the Big Bang. That's my theory on it.
Is that?
Well, no. See, that's actually good.
Well, no, I just can't help if that is your act. I'm trying to figure out if that is the actual or no. Okay, you're smiling. Okay, good.
No, but it does make a point.
I think Jason and I have the same question.
What's that?
Is this a troll? Are you trolling?
Or something along those lines, because
no
scientist believes that.
I do. No, it's offering, what I'm doing is I'm offering an alternative explanation that you could potentially make to fit the data, but it's obviously made up, right? And that's kind of the point that I'm trying to make, is that when he was quoting that other physicist, I can't remember who it was, what he's talking about is that he's not saying like, oh, well, we're just arbitrarily, randomly picking the Big Bang theory as the one we're going to go with. The idea is like you could. It's just like how you can do the math to make the Earth the center of the galaxy, right, or the center of the solar system. But it's a lot more complicated. But it's still, yeah, exactly.
Any point could be the center of the universe, right? Because everything's spinning away from it at an equal rate, right?
Yeah.
Jason, do you want to point out the problem with that?
I mean, while I understand like the kind of thought experiments of trying to take other hypotheses and fit them to the data to say, look, there are other explanations that I can fit to this data to try to show incongruencies. I understand that. However, I think like with your example, there's not like, just to kind of play along with the like shrinking universe, whatever the hell you were saying, that we don't have sufficient evidence that would suggest that, as opposed to some of the other positions that we see. Or when we say the Earth is the center of the universe, and while like some of those aspects are interesting to consider, we do have other evidence that would suggest that's not the case.
And beyond that, it's also a matter of parsimony.
Sure. Yeah, go ahead. I'm sorry.
Yeah, it takes there's fewer assumptions involved with the than with the one that I just made up. You have to explain, why, how, there's just, it's,
the adults are
so when you apply Occam's razor to it, you can come up with, and I think that's what he was trying to say, is that like, that's a philosophical principle. I could be wrong. I might be misinterpreting what he was trying to say.
He used George Ellis's quote about some I forget the exact quote, but he talking about like he could provide other alternatives that have equal explanatory power, but I don't necessarily agree with that those other positions have equal explanatory power. But you could, like you were saying, you could say, I've got a hypothesis that the Earth is flat, and I can fit the data to an Earth being flat, and you can't necessarily prove certain things. And anything you come up with, I can say, well, that's just a conspiracy, or I don't agree with that evidence. Show me that evidence. You can't show me. Oh, I show you a picture from a satellite. You could say that's photoshopped. You don't know that that's an actual photo. So I feel like these are like mechanisms of like scientific manipulation. Like people can manipulate the data to their own benefit. They got like Sinister's doing a stats class. You can manipulate statistics to reflect outcomes that may not necessarily be true. Like as an example, using a p-value to evaluate significance. Sometimes that can be used as an aspect of providing kind of confusion to the results. So I understand that approach, but in general, I think that a lot of these theories have a huge amount of evidence that would support those positions as opposed to some of the other ones. So that's just this is my view.
Yeah, but see, the thing is, like a skilled pseudoscientist can do a very good job at making their theories appear scientific.
I agree. I mean, and this is why we have peer review and scientific consensus. Like a pseudoscientist can put together a bullshit paper that looks like it works, but we depend upon the objectiveness of other scientists to review that work, to try to replicate that work, and oftentimes the cream comes to the top, that those things get disputed, like cold fusion, or I don't know if you're not old enough to remember like cold fusion, the topic of cold fusion. These guys came up with a theory that they could create fusion via a cold mechanism, and they had a paper out on it, and it went worldwide, and like 10 days later people were like, this is bullshit, we couldn't replicate it.
Yeah, I mean, cold fusion has always been 20 years out. In 20 years we'll have it figured out. But they said that 40 years ago, 50 years ago.
Yeah. Anyways, I'm just saying that this is what we depend upon of peer review to evaluate evidence that may appear to be accurate. Oftentimes, I mean, I'm not saying peer review is perfect, but I'm just saying that typically it's the best process we have to filter out that kind of pseudoscience.
Right. But I mean, that's the thing is though, like we can, like as the scientific community can do a good job of doing that, but the individuals often don't have the expertise to do that for themselves.
Agreed. I totally agree with that. Yep.
And the thing with the God hypothesis is that that can easily be manipulated to fit any data because, well, God just made it that way. God made Adam with a beard and, made trees with rings that made them look like they were, hundreds of years old in the garden.
God's an unfalsifiable concept. I mean, there's no way of building God into a null hypothesis. There's just no way of of being able to evaluate whether God exists or not. If God is the all-knowing, existing everywhere, all-powerful, disembodied mind that's existed forever, there's just no way of building a hypothesis to evaluate that. So and frankly, I've mentioned this before. I've mentioned it to like Bread of Life, like Rebecca on Bread of Life, that, if you just want to have the position that you believe in God and you have faith, and you're like, I can't prove God exists, and I'm not going to involve science, I just think God exists, I can't really dispute that. If you feel God's in your heart, fair enough. That's totally fine. But the moment you bring science into it, then it becomes a problem, because you're kind of in the realm of naturalism. And I don't think God and naturalism fit together. I mean, I think you could make it fit, but it's just really difficult to do that.
And I think most theists are that way. It's a small minority within, unfortunately, it's a large percentage of them in the United States that, reject science or try to make science fit their narrative. But I think most theists will take that position.
I would like to point out that all I have to do to prove God, and anyone who programs can do this, is create a Boolean variable named God, set it to true, and therefore we've proved God is true.
Is that Cthulhu?
Dun, dun, dun.
But
yes, exactly.
What if,
all you have to do is set it. Set it.
What if you set it to say this function is not true equals true?
I think you mean false. It's a variable. It's a Boolean variable. You can only set it to true or false.
And we are going to actually head out in 4 minutes. But, Beamsy, we're going to get you in because we are...
I love
Beamsy. That's right. We are Skeptic Ranting. What's up, Beamsy?
We all love Beamsy.
Big Bang for science in the Bible. What are your thoughts about the video or the topic itself?
I was going to continue on with the topic with the aspect to science exists within the basal assumptions. Everything outside of that is supernatural, and that's the easiest way to express it to people. If God can operate within those basal assumptions, he's real. If he cannot operate within those basal assumptions, he's surreal. It's that simple.
Super cereal.
Like Cocoa Puffs, basically.
Just don't add whiskey to it.
Fruity Pebbles, Lucky Charms.
I just want to point out that it's hard to tape in these gloves.
we get
it. Nice, though.
We get it, man. We get it. It's hard, but
listen.
Refer your complaints to God.
Listen.
Oh, look at that! Look at there's a kitty in there. Look at that! It's a kitty. Oh, what's that cat's name, Sinister?
Athena.
That's Athena. Oh, look at Athena! What a cute kitty. We are suckers for kitties.
Yeah, no one's been able to come up with the full name for my cat.
Oh, I wouldn't even want to venture to guess, Beamsy.
Well, the naming of cats is a difficult matter. It isn't just one of your holiday games. You may think I'm as mad as a hatter when I tell you a cat must have 3 different names.
At least 3.
But they all ignore all 3 of them, though, so it doesn't matter.
Most of them do, yeah.
I mean, that's the way it is.
I've had a cat that...
I've all of these names for my dogs. I mean, like 18 different names. So go ahead. I'm sorry, Marshall.
I was just saying, I've had cats that recognize their names. Came to them.
Oh, they recognize it. They just don't listen to it.
Oh, no, I've had one
cat I've had that will actually come to when you call him. I know 90% of cats won't, but he does for whatever reason.
Oh, Penelope does too.
Penelope will come when you call her. Yeah. 9 out of 10 cats won't, but some will.
Yeah, exactly. Moonlight won't, but Penelope will also. She'll go meow, and then you have to wait a second, and then you go meow, and then she'll come into the room after going.
My girlfriend Dawn, she has 2 cats, and they won't come when you call them. But usually, 90% of the time.
Aww.
Is that yours, Beamsy?
Yes, that's common references. Mew Mew, we're doing Anastasia Romanov Esquire, Mew Mew, the first of the perfect of Mew Mew.
Is she a Manx?
No, she's actually part Pixie Bob.
Oh.
And I just want to say that how cat-oriented this podcast was the entire goal. So this is the exact amount. If you actually turn a box over, it actually says this is the amount of cats that you're supposed to get per day.
I just had to pay the cat tax because I mentioned mine.
No, exactly. You better. But we have been Skeptic and Ranting. We're actually about to go into our outros.
I skipped.
Well, you not only skipped, but you are also going to be starting us off. So it's okay.
That's why I said I leave mine because I wasn't here long enough to really have an outro. I just wanted to bring in with the aspect of the basal assumptions because that's the easiest way.
What did you think of? Beamsy, what did you think of my hypothesis?
Well,
which
actually,
one, the aspect?
Hold on.
Are you talking about the Salem?
I'm going to interrupt you both because what we are going to be doing is Skeptic and Ranting outros. But Marshall, you're going to be allowed to ask that with Beamsy on center stage because he is starting us off. We are going into outro. All right, so Beamsy, we are going to allow Marshall to ask. It sounds like a question, but we are Skeptic and Ranting on the Big Bang versus Science and the Bible. With the center stage, I am going to hand it back to Marshall for a second, and then over to you.
Can you express your hypothesis again so I can answer it properly?
So my hypothesis is that the universe isn't actually expanding. Space isn't expanding. We are shrinking, and that's making it appear that space is expanding. So everything within the universe is actually shrinking in size, but the space between it remains the same.
It's not supported by physics.
Is it supported by the data, by the observations of
observations? Yes, but it's not supported by physics. You can support it with, it's the same thing in regards to most of the word salad that creationists use. You can take aspects of some things and make it sound intelligent, but you're basically just creating a creationist word salad to make it seem like your hypothesis does have any sort of recognition to stand on. Physics does not support it either through any of the three major scores and the basis of the string hypotheses theories that are coming forwards does not support it.
Makes for a good troll, though.
It's a good troll, but as soon as you talk to anyone with any understanding of astrophysics and relativity, it's you will get shot down.
And okay, thank you so very much, both Marshall and Beamsy. One more time, though. I don't know. Are you convinced the Big Bang versus Science in the Bible?
About as much as I'm convinced the flat Earth.
Yeah, that sounds about right. Thank you so very much, Beamsy. Sending love. And all right, we're heading right down the list. Marshall, what is up? We are Skeptic and Ranting on the Big Bang versus Science in the Bible. I hope you had a fun time, and what are your final thoughts?
I did. It was good to be back on here. You know, y'all are usually streaming. Yeah, I've been working, and so I don't like staying up too late. You know, so I've been missing your other streams, but I saw this on at 6 o'clock. I thought I'll jump in for a little bit.
Good time for you, right?
Yeah, it's 9 o'clock. Yeah, I don't know. It's with that guy. It's like there's a lot of times like there's Christians who will accept the science and then just like say, well, I just believe in God on faith or whatever. And then there's ones like your Kent Hovens and your young earth creationists who just say, well, all the science is wrong, scientists are lying, it fits with the Bible. And then you have ones like this who kind of seem in between, and they'll accept some parts of the science, but then they'll still try to twist it around, and and sometimes I'm talking to people like that, it can be hard to pin them down on a lot of the points. But yeah, I don't know. It's a lot of it was kind of a God of the Gaps argument. You know, like with dark matter, it's like, yeah, we don't know what that is. Actually, there's, I mean, maybe a possibility that it's not a thing and we just don't understand gravity fully, but that doesn't imply God at all. I don't know. It's you know, they'll try to push God further out into this ever receding gap in our knowledge. And the other thing is, like, the arguments about the Big Bang and all of this kind of are pointless because it's not actually the beginning of the universe. It's just like when the expansion started. So it doesn't, you can't really get to that much metaphysical, you know, you can't really get to that something metaphysical from just because we don't understand all the physical aspects.
Woohoo! Thank you so very much, Marshalle. Lovely to have you back for our Skeptic and Ranting. And all right, we're going right down. I'm gonna let you. I'm gonna get you in biblically, and then, but we're having intro outros, so we're being piffy, but we do want to let you say the Big Bang versus science in the Bible.
Biblically,
what are your final thoughts?
Christologically.
That's right, Jason.
Yes.
Yeah, I should have joined earlier. I didn't realize you were about to finish the stream, so I'll just be brief. Is that it's really simple to prove that the universe was created by our God of the Bible, because matter is multi-dimensional with height, depth, and width. Therefore, matter is irreducibly complex, contingent on an eternal mind as the creator for the universe. And this comports of Genesis 1:1, that in the beginning God created the heavens and the earth. So that will be my message.
Thank you so very much, biblically. And yes, normally,
thanks so much, biblically.
Especially our midnight rantings, they tend to be open mics because it's just our opening statements. But these are videos, and especially tonight, both James and I are getting up early. But we're sending you love. Thank you for giving your view on the subject, and come back.
Thank you so much.
Hey, I always appreciate coming into the Den of Kittens and saying your point of view. But thank you, biblically. All right, we're going right down the list. Only a few more to go. Jason, we are Skeptic and Ranting on the Big Bang versus science in the Bible. Hope you're doing well. And of course, what are your final thoughts?
Biblically, I didn't really understand this video. However, when I just heard biblically talking, I just thought I couldn't understand about how matter is multidimensional and that therefore God. What's your response? What's your response right now? What's your response? Never mind. If anybody knows biblically, that's biblically's shtick. So, okay, I'm sorry. Sorry, biblically. I was doing a little mocking there.
That's okay.
I apologize.
I'm sending it right back. The Big Bang for science and the Bible, apparently.
Yeah. Okay. The only thing I'll say is thanks for having me on. I didn't find the video compelling, obviously. That I didn't appreciate putting scientists in front of a pulpit and mixing religiosity and science, because I don't think that they have that's appropriate. If you want to have some faith arguments, that's fine, but I don't think science does, like Beamsy was saying, science doesn't involve itself in supernatural outcomes. Science and naturalism aren't about proving things of a supernatural quality, because science doesn't know anything about supernaturalism. It's outside of naturalism. I didn't find the arguments compelling whatsoever. Just proposing problems with scientific hypotheses is not proof of God. Anyways, I'll just stop there. I already said my piece, but I was glad to be on your show. Always like being on.
Thank you, Jason.
Glad to have you, Jason. And once again, when I can have you, when I can have Pat, James Wolfe, actual academics, it's always nice instead of whatever the hell we get in front of us. Okay.
Just us jackasses pontificate.
That's and all right, exactly. The rule of three. We got three left. We are skeptic and ranting. What is up, Sinister Porpoise? Always having fabulous accessories, which I can appreciate. And we are skeptic and ranting on the Big Bang versus science and the Bible, which to me is like chocolate and mayonnaise. It just doesn't seem, but yeah, exactly. But
don't knock it till you've tried it.
What are your thoughts about the video, the topic, or anything we've been talking about tonight?
All right, I think harping on the Big Bang is kind of a mistake right now, because if we're following quantum physics at all, which I personally can't do, because if you think you understand quantum physics, you don't. And if you think you don't understand quantum physics, you probably don't either. But I do understand that maybe in quantum mechanics, a Big Bang isn't necessary. And in some sense, the universe has always been eternal. I believe Marshalle asked me a question. Marshalle, I think the main problem with your hypothesis is what you're doing is called a post hoc ergo propter hoc, where you're making the facts fit the data after you already have the conclusions. Not to mention that we know right now the universe is expanding. We don't know what dark matter and dark energy are, but we do know that they probably exist based on our observations. So there is no chance that we'll all become a singularity, because whatever was us will be dead by the time a big crunch happens, which we don't think is going to, because we think the universe is going to continue expanding indefinitely at this point. All right, remember everyone, be excellent to each other. I am the Sinister Porpoise. When you think of Sinister Porpoises, think of the Sinister Porpoise. And so long, and thanks for all the fish.
Thank you so much.
From high school.
Thank you so very much, Sinister.
Can I butt in? Sorry. Porpoise, you're confusing two aspects. The big crunch is actually more about, are we in an open, closed, or flat universe? It's got nothing to do with an expanding or contracting universe. It's separate matter.
Wait, is it a new thing? Yeah.
No,
it might be different from when I learned it.
No, you're talking about two separate things. It's the curvature and the shape of the universe. That's where the big wisp and the big crunch comes in.
The big crunch is the opposite of the Big Bang.
No, you've got three outcomes. Steady state, big wisp, or the big crunch. That's the three outcomes depending on the shape of the universe. But again, I'm not going to go into it, but with the aspect of the universe contracting, that would be a separate matter. That's what I mean.
Yeah, it's about what's going to happen, not what has already happened.
Clearly,
but it's not the big crunch.
I'm going to interrupt everybody because I actually enjoyed this conversation. We will continue it.
It was really good.
Let Sinister have the last statement. No questions allowed, just a statement. And then we are moving to, the co-pilot.
Clearly, I'm so interested in studying physics that I chose computer science as my major when I went back to college.
And all right, thank you so much, Sinister. Lovely having you on. And all right, we are handing it over
Don't do it.
to the co-pilot. James, we have been skeptic and ranting on the Big Bang versus science and the Bible. This was a doozy. You were absolutely right.
She did it. She turned over to me. Well, right. But what can we say? It was a wild ride. It was quite an interesting video. Not a lot of science, but a lot of laughs. So we appreciate certainly you guys taking the time to spend it with us, and we will be back soon for more great Midnight Ranting episodes. Stay tuned for that. We've got some coming up. Right, Amy?
That is right. Oh, we have so many fantastic episodes.
How many?
Coming up.
So many.
So many, a super
So
amount
many
of
huge
fantastic episodes. However, I hope you all had a good time on this episode of Midnight Ranting, the Big Bang for Science and the Bible, the good book, the Bible, right here from Apologetics Press for a good time. Billions of years in the making. With the
Why have billions of years when you could have millions?
Millions. Oh, they should make another Austin Powers.
I think they are.
Are they? Oh. And they say there is no God. Oh wait, no, that's us. There isn't a God. That's probably Hollywood. And probably they want to make money. I do want to thank my co-host James W. along with our guest Sinister, Jason, Marshalle, Beamsy, and Biblically. Oh yeah, as well as the people in chat, our awesome mods who make the stream so great, and lovely viewers like you who make this channel even possible. If you enjoy the show, please don't forget to like, follow, or subscribe, because then you gain access to the bell icon, which when set to all will gain you reminders to see our premieres or join our live streams. What's up, interwebs? Mwah. Or hey, why not leave a comment once the video's done? After the show, many will be headed over to the Skeptic and Ranting Discord server, the link of which is in the description below. Lastly, if you'd like to help us make even more content, well, we offer some perks
we have more
for our
content,
supporters. That's
more?
right. Even more. A super amount. We offer perks for our supporters by checking out our Patreon at patreon.com/Amy Newman. I am Amy Newman, and I hope you all have an awesome time, and we will see you on the next episode of Skeptic Ball Z. Good night, everyone.
Good night, everybody.
Mwah, da, 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 da.